Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day so far. Welcome. Thank you for joining me again today. I don't know if you guys caught my stream that I was on the Canadian Libertarian stream last night or during the day. But I don't know if you guys know who that is, the Canadian Libertarian. I have a link in the description below to his channel, so go check him out, subscribe, but also watch the interview that he did with me, and share that around, whatnot. I'm just gonna check the chat here. Hey, John Snow, long time no see, buddy. Hey, Lauren. Hey, T Nova and Diamond Dog. What's up, buddy? This is surreal. A place like Winnipeg, and my topic, 1950s third world empire here, should not be on the same planet. Righteous. Hey, Lauren, come down here. Well, yeah, I'm just going to wait until a few more people come in. But, mostly the topic that I'm going to talk about is Winnipeg today, because I was going to do it yesterday, but then a bunch of people alerted me in the chat that, like I said, Canadian Libertarian was waiting for me to do a stream. And I was like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, I had no idea. So I just hopped on there right away. But I had a bunch of stuff linked already and highlighted and stuff because I learned how to use the highlighter thing. So I was like, oh, sweet. This is cool. Like, as you can tell, I don't really use too much tech myself, but do you hear about the anti-Semitic shooting in San Diego? Yeah, I did. I haven't looked too much into it so far, but that's terrible. That what happened there, and it's not funny. I'm not one of those people who are like, good, right? I think it goes without saying, right? That's a terrible thing. Get on a plane, AJ. Come down here to T. Hey, Joanna, how's it going? Well, you're welcome. I don't do too much, but I really appreciate you saying that. Hey, Fredrick, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, Winnipeg. I do like Winnipeg. I like the people of Winnipeg. I think it is a good city. And a lot of the violence that I do see now, like people, like I'll get the comments in my last video, they'd say, Winnipeg has always been a shithole. But, maybe it has been to some extent, but it wasn't as violent or as random a violence as it is today. It seems like it's much more random, especially with the introduction of meth into the city over the past couple of years. That seems to be making a lot of the crime more random, a lot of the break-ins and all that other stuff. Plus, like I was gonna say, Linda Sarsour was also here. Too bad. I should have got down there and like videotaped it and tried to, see some of the protests and ask some questions. But I'm going to start to try to, I think, do that more often from now on. Hey, Kel, how's it going? Hey, Faye. Hey, Rodney Blue and Andy Loney. Hello from Ontario. And Tinkerbell, what's up, buddy? Or Miss, whichever one. I'm not too sure. And that's, yeah, Chupa's right in the corner. I don't know if you guys can see him from your angle, but yeah, he noticed that I was making a video, so I think he decided to come and butt in, right? That's what he does. But I got quite a few stories lined up, a lot of just, like I said, random attacks, especially during the past couple of months specifically. And also, another thing is, a lot of the solution is always just more funding, or it's it's usually give these people a slap on the wrist so they stay out on the streets and go commit more offenses to harm more people. So it's like it almost seems like we're gonna end up like South Africa sooner or later. Like people even on the countryside are having their homes broken into, are having people with guns go and hold them up to steal all their shit. And they're not giving the race a lot of the times. They're just giving the height of the people. It's like, why wouldn't you tell us the race? Don't you think that would be, if somebody is still on the loose, they're like, one suspect was 5'6", the other one was 6 feet. Like, okay, so they're probably Aboriginal. Like that's the only thing I have left to think, right? They're either that or maybe not even Aboriginal. They're like minorities or fucking refugees or something like that. Or maybe they're white. I don't know, but that's what I'm left to think when you don't tell me the race of the people. And it doesn't help. Like if there's somebody on the loose and the public needs to watch out for them, knowing what color they are is going to be a helpful indicator, right? They're black 6 feet or white 6 feet with blue shoes or whatever, right? Not just some 6 foot tall guy with blue shoes or whatever, right? But I guess blue shoes to be distinctive because not many people wear blue shoes. Hey, PC Master Trends and oh no Momo Cringe channel. I like the name. I like your name, by the way. Why would I ever leave here? I just finished shoveling snow piles. Yeah, it's snowing right now. It's snowing right the fuck now. So, global warming is gonna kill us all this heat, this cold heat wave. When I thought they would make an example of her, setting a bad example or precedent of us. I thought they would make an example of her setting. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Yeah, it's snowing, so it's not really awesome, but whatever. I got to go home a little bit earlier, I suppose. If somebody tried breaking into my place, they would definitely know the race because they'd be out my front step, bleed out. Right. Yeah, exactly. So I wonder what the crime rate was in Winnipeg in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I'm sure it's fluctuated. I'm sure it has fluctuated, but I know it hasn't been like this. It seems like just random people are getting fucking just attacked, mugged more often. But I know there have been different spikes in times. Like maybe in the 90s, it might have been a little bit high or close to what it is now or something. Yeah, Faith was getting audited. Oh, right, that's true, right? I think I saw that the Freebird Media was doing a little stream about that a little bit earlier. AJ, people don't mention race because it's considered hate speech. Yeah, well, they've stopped, collecting race and statistics about race with crime and all this other stuff for I don't know how many years in Canada. Lost their jobs using race to describe people. Come on, cat, fuck off! Don't step on my keyboard, whatever you do. Oh, fucking bastard. I've been waiting for ocean rise for 20 years now. Yeah, exactly. The ocean is never going to rise, man. This is just a scare tactic that they're using to get money out of us, and maybe other things they're using it for too. But if you look at the carbon tax, what they recommend is something like a $5,000 or something dollar price on every ton of carbon, but they're only charging like 20 or 30. So it's one of these things that the elites, the politicians are just convincing us that we're all going to die in 12 years. So you got to pay this extra tax that isn't really going to do anything if you take the, science and all this other stuff seriously. Right. But I'm going to screen share a little bit here because there's a few different stories I want to go over here with you guys. But I'll go back to the chat. I won't be able to see it for a little bit, but I'll come back a little bit sooner. But see, this just happened on Osborne. So 3 stabbed north of Osborne Street Bridge in random attack, police. So just see, it's one thing when it's just gang violence and you're like, okay, but when it's random attacks, which a lot of these are, that's when it starts to be a problem. And this is where like the hipsters hang out, right, on Osborne. So all these hipsters, there's probably 3 hipsters coming back from the bar late at night, and they have like probably really big beards, and then they're like, hey dude, what's up? And then there's 2 dudes. No, I don't think it mentions the race in this. So 2 men taken into custody 15 minutes after assault. So, no mention of who they are. 3 men were walking across the bridge just before 2:30 a.m. when they were confronted by 2 strangers, police say. They believe a verbal argument escalated into a physical fight and the victims were stabbed. All three were taken to hospital in critical condition, but are now recovering and are in stable condition, police said in a release Sunday. So at least they're okay, so that's good. Two Winnipeg men, both 21 years old, have been charged with aggravated assault and were detained in custody. So, that's just one of the assaults that happened. And 2:30 a.m., whatever the date that was, it wasn't too long ago. And, it's just random. And then there was another one, this teen arrested in shooting of death of Joselito Fernandez. So it's another Filipino guy that just died randomly. So Winnipeg police say Fernandez was robbed and shot near Selkirk Avenue on April 18th. A 16-year-old is in police custody after a fatal shooting of 53-year-old Jose Lito Fernandez earlier this month. Police say Fernandez was confronted at gunpoint near rail tracks off Selkirk Avenue on April 18th, where he was shot and robbed. They say the suspect and victim weren't known to each other. A 16-year-old Winnipeg boy has been charged with second-degree murder in the incident, as well as charges of failure to comply with conditions in possession of firearm ammunition despite a prohibition order. So this guy has already had a prohibition order, so clearly he's had charges in the past. But in our legal system nowadays, a lot of people and minors get off with a slap on the wrist, which criminals often know, and that's why they use kids, or they have kids, and kids know this too. They're like, I'm 16, I can get away with doing this and doing that, and I'm not going to get much time because I'm not an adult. Police say they located the teen near Redwood Avenue in Battery Street Friday evening and took him into custody, where he remains. Fernandez's two daughters and extended family members are grappling with the loss of the kind, quiet man who came to Canada nearly 30 years ago. It put me at ease. It does kind of get me angry. I'm just full of emotion, Cook said. It was senseless of him being robbed just because he didn't have anything on him. It's still unfortunate. So the guy, he killed that guy for absolutely no reason. And you know what I always say? It's not the older people you got to worry about. 16-year-olds, 15, younger people, because those are the people that are all crazy and like full of testosterone, emotion. They can't think clearly, and they're the ones that go and stab people randomly. And the other case was what, two 21-year-olds. So it is men, between certain ages, and it's men between a specific demographic group that is that is specifically the ones doing these in Canada, right? No mention of race, but obviously they're not going to do anything because he's a minor, right? So then here's another one: robbery motive in Selkirk Avenue, homicide. So Selkirk, Osborne, all these areas, they all happen around a certain area, right? John Robert Gabriel was stabbed near Salter Street in Selkirk Avenue on March 16th. 22-year-old man arrested. So look again, 22-year-old man. No mention of race, just man. 22-year-old man. But if it was like a white dude who just stabbed some like Somali refugee, they're like, white man stabs Somali refugee. But man arrested. 22-year-old man has been charged with second-degree murder in the killing of John Robert Gabriel last Monday. Winnipeg police said Saturday. So this all happened like recently, guys. Like this is all like not like I looked at the news, and in 2-3 days I found all these different things. I was like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? Police believe robbery was the motive for the stabbing. So robbery, and this is all to fuel their meth addiction. A lot of these people. And then they're getting lesser sentences because of that. They're like, oh, well, they're just trying to fuel their meth addiction, so they should get, a slap on the wrist, and then you go out and do the same thing. But stabbing, which happened near Salter Street and Selkirk Avenue early in morning on March 16th. They say the suspect and victim didn't know each other. Gabriel was taken to hospital in critical condition, but later died. In addition to charges of second-degree murder, the 22-year-old Winnipeg man is facing breach of probation. So You guys see the pattern here. You see the pattern that is starting to build. 22, 16, breaching probation, lacking telling us their ethnicity. It doesn't take a rocket science. This innocent guy, 38, right? Was just walking along. This was early during the day too, right? It was like 6 a.m. It's just during the morning. It wasn't even like late. I think I can't remember where I was reading that, but yeah, it wasn't even like late at night or anything. So it's pretty fucked up, right? More just all random stabbings, killings. And then this is weird too, because this is I think was a hit and run, but the police are just not saying it was. So then maybe the person who did do the hit and run thinks that they're free. So then they can keep investigating to find the person, because the police do this all the time. In a case that I'm going to be showing a little bit earlier, I think they did the same thing, because they came out and they said they're going to prosecute or charge another person with manslaughter in this other case where this guy got killed. And in the other stories, they never mentioned anybody else was there, but the police will do that. So the suspect doesn't know that they're on to them, right? But crash that badly injured cyclist wasn't hit and run, police say. So a mysterious bicycle crash that sent a man to a hospital with serious injuries is no longer being investigated as a hit and run. So this is something that the sister said. The next thing he knows is he's waking up and a man, he thinks, is asking him if he was okay. Does he need an ambulance? And he said, no, why? And he said, well, you got hit, she told CBC on Wednesday. So police subsequently spoke to a pair of witnesses and came to the conclusion that another vehicle was not involved in the crash. The officers continued with their investigation and have determined that the cyclist likely struck a curb in a parking lot near Empress Street and Sargent Avenue, causing him to fall off his bike and causing injuries. So, this isn't anything. I just thought that was kind of weird. I was like, so, like that he said that somebody told him, why didn't you talk? Why did this witness lie to somebody who's just injured, or maybe he's so injured that he just misremembers it? Like, that's possible and stuff too. But there's that. And then this is just another SJW piece. I'll read that a little bit later. Linda Sarsour was in Winnipeg not too long ago. So Point Douglas mom says teen's bike stolen at knife point. So Winnipeg mother says a 13-year-old daughter had her bike stolen at knife point while out for a ride with her friend Friday night in North Point Douglas. Anderson said the incident happened around 5:30 p.m. Friday when her daughter was with a 14-year-old friend. She said the two stopped at Annabella Street and Sutherland Avenue to talk about what direction they would head next, and were approached by an adult male and female in their 20s who asked if the girl had a cigarette before things escalated. They produced a knife. You gotta smoke? You gotta smoke? That's probably how they said it. They produced a knife and told them that they were taking their bikes, at which point they got off the bikes and turned the bikes over to them, Anderson said. They said they were quite scared. So, that's that stuff does happen, occasionally and stuff. I've had knives pulled on me and stuff, but doing that to like little girls, little 13-year-old girls for their fucking bicycles and shit. And that's the thing. There's a big I've had so many of my bikes stolen. It's ridiculous. I put my bike out and it was on Main Street, and I biked, and that's where there's like a bunch of bums. And then I locked it up, went in for 5 minutes, came out, it was gone. I was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, in my backyard, I had my bike. It was just stolen. I was like, oh, what the hell? The incident has sparked a peaceful community walk, so that's good. At least it's trying to do something, I guess. She feels more anxious in her community now, which is something that's pretty disturbing. As parents, you want your children to feel safe. But this is Point Douglas. This is just like a notoriously fucking bad area. Bad area. It's Métis complaining about funding. I'm gonna delete that story. Just get rid of some of those stories. Just clean up some of that clutter. And then this is another one. So Manitoba RCMP search for suspects in St. Clement's home invasion. So the stolen vehicle has been located, but police are still searching for two suspects. One is described as 5'9" tall, and the other is 6 feet tall. So this was two people broke into these old people's homes, and this story, I just wanted to read that part because this story included just that piece of information, but there's like more of a fuller story over here that has more of the details involved, and actually, like, it talks about other shit. And this was funny too, because it's just talking about the alleged hate crime hoax fuels white supremacist voices online, right? So it's talking about how all the right wingers who are reporting on the Burr Cafe, it's fueling white supremacy. And then this girl, it's funny, the video, she complains and cries about about the Holocaust. This is talking about more of the meth addict, the meth addiction in here. It's a perch snatching that just recently happened. That's not really too important, but the guys, these two people, they spray painted this 66-year-old woman. So police have arrested about 3 youth who pepper sprayed and hit a woman in River Heights when she wouldn't easily give up her purse, the woman's son says. It wasn't even dark, Finland said. This is in the middle of the daytime, daylight, people around, and something like this happened. It's pretty crazy. 3 youths were coming towards her on a sidewalk but didn't move over, so she stepped off to the side, and that's when one grabbed her purse. They started tussling, and she screamed, and she got pepper sprayed, hit, and then pepper sprayed again. Neighbors came to her aid, and she got someone to telephone her son immediately, so he was quickly at her side. I drove over and found her on the ground with the people around her helping her. Because she'd been sprayed and pepper spray and hit with some kind of pipe batons across her back, he said. A man chased the youth who took her purse, and a woman recorded them running away, while other neighbors came with water to help wash out his mom's eyes. So, good. There's still a lot of good people in Winnipeg, so that's a good thing too. Everybody's going to be thinking about what they're doing when they're walking around, maybe eyeballing everybody now, right? So, and that's what it does, right? These random attacks, they make people fear going out into the public, just walking around doing day-to-day things, like old women and people who are like my mother, or women that I know in my family. I fear more for them just walking around like Osborne or fucking random places that you think are fairly safe, that aren't really a big where something isn't gonna fucking happen, right? But even with all of our gun laws in Canada and all this stuff too, people are still getting shot near train tracks by 16-year-olds. So clearly that shit doesn't fucking work. And look at these 3 youths have no respect. And guess what? It's probably 3 Aboriginal youth who beat the fuck out of some old white woman, right? And it's not going to be like a hate crime or anything like that. It's not going to be made into a Bushi case. They're not going to make a documentary about it like they would if it was like the reverse, like like that fucking guy in the UK who died, like Stephen Lawrence, died like 93, and they're still like, we're gonna make laws. Inmates killing, rising violence lead to spike in PTSD with inmates. Burr Cafe, so this they have a gun, couple traumatized, recovering after home invasion, an RM of St. Clement's. So a Manitoba couple still reeling after a terrifying home invasion in the middle of the night this week is speaking out about their experience with CTV News. It happened at the home of a 71-year-old woman and a 73-year-old man in Redbeck Road shortly at 12:30 Thursday in rural municipality of St. Clements. So this isn't the first thing that happened recently. There's another person that was robbed. And this is just a little quaint community not too far outside of Winnipeg. In an interview Saturday, the woman said the two intruders began by repeatedly ringing the doorbell after she opened up the blind. She said she saw one of them with a gun. The woman said the intruders unplugged landline phones in the house, then told them to sit on the couch after that. They walked out with a large television, the keys to their vehicle, and drove off. The couple moved from BC 20 years ago for safety reasons. So they moved from BC for safety reasons to the small, what they thought was a safe region. Said they never imagined such a violent event taking place in their home. I was a banker and had been robbed many times in my 32-year career, but nothing like this, said the woman. It makes you feel so unsafe in your home. We're very trusting people, and other than our neighbors and friends, we are not going to be trusting anyone, she said. So this is what it does, this is what letting criminals do, giving them a slap on the wrist, like all those other people were on probation that killed, robbed, murdered people. They go and diversify up neighborhoods where people used to feel safe, where they used to feel like they can go out, where they used to feel like they could leave their door open. But now there's people going on there, like that Bushy kid and his friends that were going to go steal shit from that farmer and make him fear for his life and his family. People that are going on his property that he doesn't know late at night. Like he had every right to shoot all of them, in my opinion. If we had those rights in Canada and shit, maybe not right away, but I'm saying like pretty damn near. He should have the right to fucking defend himself and by any means necessary. And and then now that guy's painted as the bad guy. And when there's people, going there to make these people's lives feel less secure, and that's what this fucking shit does. The intruders seem very agitated and could have been on meth. So my recommendation is comply, she said. RCMP said the couple's vehicles was found, but the suspects are still out there and are asking anyone with information to contact. So why aren't we given a description of the suspects? I'm sure the old people saw what they look like. Why isn't the media telling us what they look like? Did they ask the question? They're still on the loose. Early Tuesday morning, RCMP say suspects follow the man to his driveway south of Birds Hill Park and east of Highway 59, and with long guns had the man lie on the ground and hand over his keys. So this was Saturday in St. Clements, right? Invasion, another vehicle robbery. So Rick whatever has lived on Rebec Road for close to 3 decades. Pretty scared, makes you concerned, worried, he said Saturday while working on his lawn. I mean, you can set up security and all that kind of stuff, but what's it's going to do at that point, he said. An alarm may scare off some people. For Kathleen Wyville Newman, who also lives on the Rebec Road, the home invasion has changed her outlook on the neighborhood. So, that's sad, man. That's fucking sad. What these safe people, they think they can leave their kids out to roam, to play, and this type of shit happens. People being held up with long guns, fucking for TVs and shit, for stupid fucking shit that's gonna give these people a few $100, but they want their fix, they want their meth. This area has always been a very safe, leave your windows open kind of area. Not anymore. I feel like this area is in a game of Russian roulette. It would definitely be nice to see more police presence in the area all hours of the day, evening, night, she said in an online message to CTV News. So, and then that's what people are going to ask for. More police, more of a police state. And that's kind of what they want too, right? It's like, fuck, just give people more of a right to defend themselves and carry their own weapons. And also, stop letting criminals out on the streets. Like, you could also do that, because a lot of these people probably have prior offenses that have done multiple things wrong, but because of their race or gender, possibly, they got let off easy. And it wasn't because of their white race either. And then Wyville Newman is now taking serious steps to protect her house and family. We've barricaded the front doors in our garage with vehicles. More exterior lights left on. Cameras are going to be installed on exterior of the house. So, hey, people who are worried about climate change, well, if you want to reduce climate change, then make it so people could feel safe in their homes again, so they don't have to leave the lights on and have all these cameras and security running. Well, it's like, no, you're just leave it off. You're just bigoted. You don't want your neighborhood enriched. Extra deadbolts are being installed on doors. Oh, you're fucking racist. Our cell phones are now being kept at bedside for the night. She said leaving her home on weekends will be stressful. Such a shame to live like this. So, it is pretty fucked up.
A Manitoba couple is still reeling days after a terrifying home invasion in the middle of the night. They're in their 70s and live in the rural municipality of St. Clements. City News' Beth McDonnell has more on what happened and a warning to homeowners.
This 71-year-old woman and her 73-year-old husband are recovering from a traumatic home invasion. Two intruders showed up shortly after 12:30 Thursday morning, repeatedly ringing the doorbell, one with a gun.
I said to my husband, "They've got a gun, get out of the way." So we jumped off to the side, 2 kicks, and he had the door open.
She says the intruders unplugged landline phones and told them to sit on the couch, and walked out with a large TV, the keys to their vehicle, and drove off.
We sat there for a couple minutes, and then my husband had the cell phone. We hid our cell phones on the couch, and he contacted the RCMP.
The municipality is concerned about the invasion and another vehicle robbery also this week. Early Tuesday, RCMP say suspects followed a man to his driveway and with long guns had the man lie on the ground and hand over his keys.
Just be vigilant in your area. Check on your neighbors. Make sure if you're not around or if you're going to be
need a rape bracelet.
Leave the radio on in the garage.
The recuperating couple moved back to the prairies from BC 20 years ago for safety.
I was a banker and I'd been robbed many times in my 32-year career. Nothing like this, so makes you feel so unsafe in your home. We're very trusting people, and other than our neighbors and friends, I'm not going to be trusting anybody.
They want to thank all the police officers involved for showing so much care and compassion through this difficult time and plan.
Yeah, see, Winnipeg's turning into a shithole, guys. It's turning into a fucking shithole. I'm telling you, man. I don't know what is going on here, and I got some more stories to share also with you guys a little bit sooner, but I'll just check out the chat. Hey, Anarchor. Hey, Geeter. And Rachel B. How's it going? Nation Pride, Northern Pride. Hey, brother. Any more vids on government corrupt crap? Yeah, I'm sure I'll get some more vids on some government corruption pretty soon. He's rattled. I've solved it. I'll set up a mosque for white conversion. We could get away with it. Let's see here. 16-year-old is not a boy, for fuck's sakes. Why are 16s called boys? Oh, right. Yeah, they're teens, but, they're going to call them a boy in that situation. Mention race because it's considered hate speech. Okay, all right. Let me check lower here. If anybody's got any questions, just put AJ in the chat. Hey, Saint, how's it going? Hey, McNoogs. Dare you to come in uninvited. Cat. Go away. You guys hear about the new Fruity scandal? Oh, when he called Japan China. And how's it going, Mike, by the way? Hey, Albert. What's up, buddy? But yeah, I heard Trudeau called Japan China twice. And that guy, he's ruining all of our relations with literally every country. I think China also is saying they're going to do some more tariffs on soybeans, as well as grains and other ones of our products. And it's like, clearly they were going to do this. So why weren't you looking for other markets to replace it this whole time, right? It's like, do you guys have any foresight whatsoever? You know, all countries, we have the Philippines saying they're going to go to war with us and send all this fucking trash back because we have the weakest leader, and all countries, like even Macron in France is a stronger fucking leader than Trudeau, right? And you know, I don't know what to say about that guy. He's such a fool. And imagine if it was conservative that said that mixed up China for Japan multiple times. They'd be like, oh, it's because you're racist and you think that all Japanese people look the same. And even the CBC was covering it, saying that the article was Trudeau has China on the mind for CBC. And you're like, you bastards. Hey, Japalan. Did you hear about James Sears arrested for hate speech in Canada? What? James Sears? No, I have not heard of that. Was that James Sears? Let me Google that. James Sears. Oh, okay. He was arrested, or wasn't he just charged? Toronto editor convicted of hate crime continued publishing after sentencing court hears. Okay, so he kept that guy was doing that article there, that editorial that he was sending out to different people, right? Japanese and Chinese love it when you call them the other, not like they have a historical hatred for each other or anything. Yeah, exactly, right. It's such a stupid thing, Trudeau. And you know, I'm not going to harp, I guess, too hard in a sense, because yeah, you know, politicians, like I would do that to some extent too. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. And, you know, but Trudeau, he really needs to stop fucking up relations with other countries. Just the other day in India, he took off Sikh terrorism from the watch list, or from the list in Canada, as one of the things, or he took Sikh terrorism off of the list, right? And this angered India even more. And now they're like, why are you doing this? You're doing this clearly to pander to the Sikhs in your country. You know, even India, the Indian prime minister, and these people see this. So, you know, he's messing up more relations with them, and he's still trying to suck China's dick no matter what, regardless. And because he doesn't want to be seen like he's working with America either on a large scale. James Sears, is that the pastor? No, I think that was no. James Sears is that guy who wrote that editorial, and it said a bunch of stuff about Jews and stuff, and it sent it to all these different people, and they were saying it was hate speech. But you know, the hate speech laws in Canada are ridiculous. People getting pulled into human tribunal courts, having to pay $40,000. What's happening? I didn't see what happened to Faith Goldie with her auditing, but what gets me more isn't the fact that these people are doing this, because it doesn't surprise me that these leftists and whatnot are going to take any means necessary to censor their enemies, censor the people. But it's the fact that you have all these other people cheering it on, all these NPCs saying, oh, this is a great thing that's happening. Good. Hate speech isn't free speech. Hate speech isn't free speech. And they cheer and they goad it on. And you think, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You know, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Aren't Jews Japanese? Yeah, I think they are. I think they're pretty much the same people. Cartography, well, you can make up your own maps. I agree. Tinova, James Sears, remind me of Mail, but yeah, Trudeau. I don't know what is wrong with that guy, and there's there's a few articles too that's talking about white supremacy from the Globe and Mail. I don't know if you guys watched that little video that was being promoted on Twitter. It's talking about white supremacy groups and it was showing Discord. It's speaking of Discord. You got to be careful what you say nowadays because, even when it comes to even if it's not, you're not even promoting violence or anything like that. Twitter, these algorithms, they censor conservative type speech. So if you're talking about, if you probably even say I like small government and that framework or something on Twitter, they'll be they'll flag your account. Or if you say Jesus, love Jesus, they'll be okay, that's hate speech. So people are gonna have to speak more in coded almost language to get away from these censors. And also since 2010, since much earlier, people have been infiltrating these discords and all these different chat groups and stuff, trying to get in there, infiltrate it. Journalists infiltrate them. They just kind of sit there and watch and write discussions that happen and then use this for articles later down the road. But apparently there are more and more. My neighbor has seen 7 kids and I never asked them before how they voted. We meet at church a lot. His wife is Colombian. Alberta toxic waste dump. Yeah, it is. But I want to show you guys that thing with the Burr Max Cafe, right? And that got around the world recently as one of the Canada's version of the Jesse Smollett hoax. And now the owners and stuff, they're denying it. But if you look into it, these people owe tons of money. They owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're right about to close down. And people, soon after this happened, I don't think they specifically opened up the GoFundMe account, but a GoFundMe account, these things were open and money was being raised to pay for the damages and to help these people. So they're clearly scammers. And I want to show you the part where this girl is pretending to cry for us, for the media. And it's so fucking fake. It's disgusting. You're whatever, nobody's going to believe you. Stop using the Holocaust as a fucking crutch, lady. Nobody gives a shit. There's so many people have suffered so much and they don't use it continuously. But here.
I'm just going to ask that. Did you fake this?
I didn't fake. I'll tell you something, okay? So I didn't be in the restaurant yet, but they say it was swastika on the walls, okay? You know what? You have to have this in the family so you understand that my family, actually, my grandparents, all family, they
I understand how hard this must be.
No, you don't understand. Oh my grandmother.
Look at her tears. Look how dry her face is. At least if you can't fake tears, then go for a different reaction. Go for more of a stern, serious look into his eyes and be my family, they died in the Holocaust and they were thrown in gas chambers and and make it serious and you're looking at them and if you can't pull off the tears.
Family, they died in Holocaust. Just her and her little brother survived. The whole family.
Okay, so the Holocaust happened in the 40s, right? Today is 2020. So that was almost 70, 80 years ago. But it's still bringing tears to your eyes. Jesus fucking Christ.
We don't joke about that because this is something, I don't know, what's most important in your life.
Well, right now, what's most important?
I guess it's slightly wickered.
I'm asking, did you fake the vandalism?
We didn't, because we don't talk about swastika on our walls. So, and we try.
Oh, you don't joke about swastikas. I believe you.
They say, okay, you say, okay, they have a 3 version what happened in my restaurant. They say, okay, so maybe your son stay, and he hide, he knock you out, and he smash everything.
The police are like, they're just not buying. We found evidence of a crime. It just wasn't a hate crime. Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we're not buying your shit, lady.
I am hugely disappointed and frankly angry that this family has used hate and racism in such a disingenuous way. In doing so, they have allowed cynicism to creep into this discussion. Cynicism that trivializes genuine victims of hate. Cynicism that risks reinforcing stereotypes that the Jewish community here locally and throughout the world have fought hard to dispel. This staged event has set in motion an investigation that has utilized significant resources from our Major Crimes Division, from our Forensics Division, and our General Patrol Division. Over 25 officers have invested nearly 1,000 hours through a busy holiday weekend trying to bring this investigation to a close. In the end, we found evidence of a crime. It just wasn't a hate crime. These individuals have been charged. Charges are being laid as we speak, and they will appear in court to account for themselves later in May.
Booyakasha. Booyakasha. Okay, but this is funny. I gotta check this out. I gotta show you guys this because this lady was like, I think, crying because somebody like said she wasn't. They're like, you got to your position because of your father.
The owner member for Burroughs.
Oh, that's really loud.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, what happened this morning?
Somebody accused her of getting to her position because of her father, right?
Here at the legislative building, it's not okay. I'm not going to repeat what the NDP have said because it's not parliamentary. However, those NDP members know the language that they used, and I would suggest apologizing.
Aww, I almost feel bad. She's so adorable.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, today several members of the NDP crossed the line.
Because I think she's serious.
The member for St. John's, the member for Gary Riverview, and the member for Flin Flon needs to be aware that words have meaning.
Oh my God. This is why, you know, this is why we keep women out of politics. You know? Well, maybe it's just millennial women. I could see that as well, right? Hypersensitive. But she's not a good representative here. You know, you guys gotta police your side.
Meaning and consequences.
Because women won't listen to men. If I tell her to suck up, she won't listen.
I have worked incredibly hard to be where I am today.
I'd be mansplaining.
I know that
Ah.
I am only here because of the supportive team that I have around me. And I'm confident in my abilities because my focus remains on serving others. This morning, the member from St. John's, the member from Fort Garry Riverview, and the member from Flin Flon took some very, very cheap shots at me on record. They were disgusting, offensive, ageist, and sexist. I was shocked to hear today that member from St. John's, who also happens to be the critic for the status of women, would give credit to my father for my work. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the member from St. John's undermines every single woman, every single young person who would seek a seat in this House. But
Right. She's right.
she puts statements like that on record. I would like to ask all members of this House to truly think about the words they put on record. They have, and consider the effect that they have on people.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Did you see his face? Did you see his face? I gotta see his face again. What am I? What did she actually get? Claps? She get a fucking standing ovation? Oh, this is the guy's like, what the fuck is going on here? Is this Canada? This is really what's going on in Canada right here. Those are politicians crying, getting mad. Oh my god. Hey, Base Brad, how's it going, buddy? Hey, Stan. Hey, the one, how's it going? Troll Division. The Philippines judge. Why is she crying, AJ? Oh, it's because she somebody accused her of getting to her position because she is this daughter of this other candidate, this older guy, right? So then she's just like, how could you call me this? How could you do this? Oh my god. Oh my god. It's like, you're a bad representative for us, for my generation, for women. Get the fuck off the stage if you can't handle a little bit of criticism. And then who the hell gave her a standing ovation? I want each and every one of those people, like, I want somebody to take a picture of them. Like, you supported this. You facilitated people like this. Do you want these people running your politics, making decisions for you? Like, that emotional of a person? No, you don't want that. You do not want that. Then it's probably true if she was crying, AJ. What Canadian city is the most leftist? Like Toronto, I'd say. Should have been councillor. Yeah, probably. What's the old saying? If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Yeah, exactly. What the fuck did women get so weak, right? Like, you know, that's what I was saying. You're right. I'm not gonna say it's all women. Like, not that older women haven't done that, but I think it's indicative of the generation as well too, and what they're teaching people to be little snowflakes, to need safe spaces. See, we're gonna get people in office one day. They're gonna be like this, and they're gonna need safe spaces to conduct that are not gonna be able to take. And it's funny. They think, and by their very nature, they're gonna want to censor freedom of speech, and they're gonna think it's a good thing because because they know words hurt their feelings. So by censoring other people, they know that they are going to be sparing the feelings of all these other people, and then they're not going to have to be crying in front of a bunch of people. Like, that was pathetic. That was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. Same with that other woman that was crying. But you know, that's just something that, no offense, women will do to garner sympathy. But if a man does, there's a standard. If a man will cry, well, he's a pussy. He's this, he's that, blah blah blah. Make fun of him. But, you know, oh, okay, we're gonna pat you on the back for crying. It's like, no, fuck off. But, you know, it's just ridiculous. But I'll show a little bit more of the Burmax case, because there was a little bit more information to do with that. So where is this? So that has to do with drugs, meth. That's meth. Lemureur asked for apology. Oh yeah, that dumb bitch. Okay, so yeah, so alleged hate crime hoaxes or hoax fuels white supremacist voices online. So Alleged. It was alleged. Guys, well, I guess, they have to legally say that or whatever. Like, I'm going to say that too. It's alleged, guys. It's alleged. I'm not going to say it's because I had this one girl who's trying to sue me because she was arguing with me about this for so long. Like, I initially made a video about the Burmax Cafe, and I said that, what do you call it? I said that I think this is a hoax, that this is fake, that this isn't true, and that it didn't happen. Then she's like, oh, you're just an anti-Semite Bernier fan. You support Maxime Bernier, and they're full of anti-Semites. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, everybody hit the like and share button. Hit the subscribe. Go join my Discord. All the description and stuff below, all that stuff helps. But I called out this Burmax thing. I made like the first story on it, and I was like, this is very fishy. This is fake. And then she's calling me an anti-Semite and all that crap. And then it turns out that I'm right, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, blah blah. But then it comes out that they're denying it. And she's like, well, we got to wait for all the evidence to see what really happened. And I'm like, oh my God, whatever. And then she's arguing with all these people in my comment section. She's like, well, judging by your comment section, clearly you're an anti-Semite or a racist and a Bernier supporter, blah, blah, blah. And then, said all that stuff. And then she starts saying she wants to charge me because I was like, I don't think you're a Catholic, because she was saying she's a Catholic, but then she's talking tons of shit about Catholics and being like really adamant about protecting or defending these people, right? And talking about the Holocaust. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't even know if you're Catholic. She's like, I'm going to sue you and bring you to court and do all this stuff. It's crazy, man. Like, some people are totally insane. But hey, Fredrick, thank you for the $2 donation, man. I really appreciate it. Everybody check out Fredrick Godzilla Menckin. He has a channel. Copy paste the link right here, or his name, put it in YouTube, check under channel. You'll definitely find his channel. Subscribe. I do stream with him. But he said, buy Tim Hortons coffee, help support Pinoy Army, the Pinoy Army. Exactly, guys. Support the army. I was on Kevin Johnson channel with you yesterday. You are a man of much intelligence, AJ, and 29. You give this 54-year-old optimism. Yeah, right. We were on, I was on Bennett's channel yesterday, the Canadian Libertarian. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream, if you guys didn't see, I was on the Canadian Libertarian channel yesterday. We did a stream. I think it was a pretty good stream, an interesting discussion. I recommend you guys to go check it out. I have a link for his channel as well as Fredrick's channel in the link below in the description. So go down there, go to all the other YouTubers as well, subscribe to them. They're all Canadian YouTubers. The majority of them, or I think all of them. The Hate Hoax Cafe has upside crosses on the wall, and anti-Christianity is okay. Yeah, that's right too. The Burmax Cafe as well. I saw on Faith Goldie's thing, and it was showing pictures of trannies with little kids in that Burmax Cafe as well. So they were all degenerates. They were all like crazy degenerates. I'm like, it doesn't look good for the chosen people. Like, whenever stuff like this type of comes out, I gotta admit, right? But I'll read a little bit of that article I was gonna mention here. One sec. So alleged hate crime hoaxes fuel white supremacist voices online, advocates. Family that owns Burmax Cafe and Bistro insists they didn't fake last week attack. So white supremacist groups are using an alleged hate crime hoax in Winnipeg. Yay, we're on the map. People know who we are now. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm kind of glad this happened, right? Because now people all over the world have heard Winnipeg. Although The Simpsons, I'll talk about that a little bit later, Trudeau's appearance. If somebody wants to bring me a clip later, maybe I'll show that. But You know, I know in The Simpsons they talked about Winnipeg. If you guys remember that episode where, you know, Lisa or whatever, they're driving and there's like a family next to them and they drive. They're like, ah, fuck it, kids. We're going back to Winnipeg. Like, but we exist. We exist. Manitoba exists. Winnipeg is here. We have people. Come here, live here. If you're white. Further, their anti-Semitic agendas on the internet, anti-racism activists say, oh, these activists, anti-racism activists, they're experts. We got to consult these blue-haired feminists on Twitter. The allegations have fueled voices in white supremacist and neo-Nazi groups across the internet, says Helmut Harry Lowen, a retired University of Winnipeg professor and anti-fascism activist. So you're just, you know, you're just anti-capitalism. Just say you're anti-capitalism because that's what you probably mean. It's almost like clockwork, Lowen said Thursday. When we have an incident, whether it's an actual hate crime or an alleged hate hoax, you got to put that alleged there, you will have this kind of reaction. Oh, yeah, they're simply making it up. They're exaggerating the rates of victimization. Yes, people are exaggerating the rates of victimization. I'm not saying it doesn't occur. Nobody says no violent acts occur. But first of all, take away the category of hate crime because it's a bullshit thing anyways, just used against white people. And a lot of people fake this shit. And a lot of the hate crimes that even if they weren't faked are stupid. It's like, he called me a Jew. Some guy, and some of it's so unbelievable. So unbelievable. And I'm like, who writes this and jots this stuff down and says, oh yeah, some guy just stopped next to us and said, Jews are pigs and Israel doesn't deserve to exist. And they drove off and they're white and they're skinheads. You're like, okay, all right. This is in Winnipeg. You're like, sure. It's almost like clockwork, Lowen said Thursday. When we have an incident, whether it's an actual hate crime or alleged hate crime, you will have this kind of reaction. Oh, yeah, they're simply making up. What does it mean? It's like clockwork. Yeah, because the media doesn't fucking cover it. So we cover it, and then we get called, and then they label us, and they say, oh, look at all these white supremacists spreading this information that we're not going to talk about. They're spreading to fuel white supremacy. So what they mean is fueling white supremacy is fueling white people's knowledge of what the fuck is going on in their countries, in the news, and what the hell is going on. Andrew Morrison, an archivist at the Jewish Heritage Center in Winnipeg, who monitors anti-Semitic activity online. So what do you mean? Like, so you just monitor it online? There's just like, who pays you to do that? Like, fucking, I'm just gonna like sit. I don't like sit and monitor anti-white racism online because, you know, there's tons of it. I couldn't even start with cataloging a fucking fraction of it. There's no point in even trying to. But you got people combing the internet, hiding in chat rooms and discords, looking for somebody who says George Soros or some fucking word and be like, oh, there's a hate crime, jot it down. These online activist groups, oh my god, they're gonna get us, they're gonna get us all. You know, like I had, what was this the Twitter thing I'd saved? This from the Globe and Mail, right? Well, I'll break that up afterwards, but I'll read a little bit more of it. There's a tremendous concern that this will actually cause more anti-Semitism, and that when an actual anti-Semitic incident does take place, that people may be, first of all, reticent to report it. that they'll be worried that they won't be believed. So that's lies. Jewish people are not going to be reticent to report a fucking hate crime. Same with any other group. They're going to report. Everybody knows to report that shit. You're going to be believed whether you have fucking evidence or not. You're going to be all initially believed, like the media initially believed it. And they didn't do any investigative journalism whatsoever. Like I'm saying, I'm a fucking roofer, guys. I'm a roofer. But I was able to read a fucking article and be like, this sounds really fishy. I don't believe their story. Now, one Jewish actually group, this type of Jewish news group, went down there and took some pictures of the office. And they're like, this doesn't really seem like it's been destroyed, right? And they were, I don't know, I saw whatever, I think on Rebel Media or Sheila Gunry and Ezra Levant, they're giving credit to these people for like uncovering it. I'm like, I was looking through their tweets and something. I'm like, I didn't see them uncover it. I saw one thing where they were kind of like, they reported it. They reported on it. I didn't see them question it initially. So I'm like, I don't know. But I guess they went down there at one point or something. I don't know. But, you know, people just kind of read that shit at face value when there's just so many red flags inside of it. There's just tremendous, you know, and yeah, a lot of this shit shouldn't be believed. You know, you should always be skeptical. You shouldn't just automatically believe fucking anything, because what does that do? You're automatically putting guilt on somebody else. Then the alleged hoax fuels anti-Semitic alleged. See, look what happens though whenever they write about something about the right wing, though they kind of like leave this word out a lot of the times, or like the hoax fuels anti-Semitic efforts online that ultimately contribute to Holocaust denial. So it goes all the way to that. So, you know, them faking this is now going to lead to Holocaust denial. See, they lied about this just like the Holocaust. I'm sure maybe some people, I guess, are going to say that, but whatever. Like, for fuck's sakes. We're very concerned about how this will play out, especially in terms of how neo-Nazis, what neo-Nazis? White supremacists and anti-Semites, you forgot the incels, will try to profit from these narratives. Whatever. You know, these degenerates. The international range of online hate groups is significant, Lowen says. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You're just designating all these groups as hate groups that aren't. Online portals give white supremacists and neo-Nazis the ability to organize and trade information. You know? Oh, they're able to talk online and discuss things. We need to stop this. The international scope and the speed with which messages targeted the Jewish community, in this case, can travel worldwide, and certainly something that cannot be underestimated, he said. You know, just more subtle. We need to censor the internet because white supremacists are going to spread narratives that we want kept under wraps, essentially, right? But, you know, fuck these people. Fuck the media. Fuck everybody else. Good on the police for calling this shit out. But Burmax Cafe owners may face steep consequences over alleged stage hate crimes. So they may actually face 5 years in prison. So this is actually pretty good. So Walsh said that the Crown prosecutor leads by indictment, and the Barrett family could be looking up to 5 years in jail. So that'd be fucking awesome, to be honest. If the crowd proceeds on a lesser offense, the penalty could be $5,000 fine and up to 6 months. So, you know, I'm assuming this one will probably be what it is, or maybe even lesser of a fine, but that would be fucking great if that one were to land, right? Because they deserve to go to jail. They really do. You know? They really, really fucking do. This is like that old couple that was traumatized. Oh, it's my video. Here, I'll stop screen sharing here for a second. Check out the chat. I put out the Simpsons link in the Discord. I was lucky he blocked up the hate. The Winnipeg story made the Beauty and the Beast Matt Christensen show for their hoax hate segment. Nice. Thank you for the donation, Fredrick, too, man. I really appreciate that. want to make sure I didn't miss anything up here. Did you miss? But thank you again, man. I really appreciate that. Did you know that when you sign up to Discord, it notifies all of my contacts? It was strange to get a message from my old client from 10 years ago. Oh, that's weird. I didn't know that. I had no idea about that. I put the Simpsons link in the Discord. Okay. Let me see here. There it is. Yeah, because doesn't he do like some fucking SNC Lavalin bullshit? Like he walks on all fours or something of the sorts. Okay. Okay, here it is. Let me screen share this, guys. Okay.
So listen, if I could just ask you one question about the SNC Lavalin scandal.
There's a longer clip. There's a longer clip. Where, there's a longer clip where he goes and starts like, you know, starts doing like his little hand thing or whatever. So it's like, you know, they made fun of him, which was good. I like that. But whatever. Not a big deal. They could have gotten people hurt. Yeah, you know, they need to be locked up. Anyone watch the video featuring Christopher Bowman explaining 9/11? No, I haven't seen that. Yeah, there's a longer clip, but oh well. They've alleged for that. Momo, Cringe channel I used to train. Texas is not what it used to be. A roofer in Winnipeg. You must work about... No, I work all year round, man. I work all year round in Winnipeg. I do roofing in -40 fucking temperature a lot of the times. Like minus 35, -40. The only time I won't work is like if it's like snowing, you know, hard or something like that, or raining. Which today was kind of like snow raining. It was snow raining today. So like, you know, you can't work in that temperature or not condition because depending on what you're doing, like I've worked in the rain trying to find leaks when there's like a massive leak and they're like, you have to come out and you have to find it. And you're like, oh, fuck, man. And you're like, if you're not properly dressed, you're just soaked. But no, I work all year round. You gotta watch bowling. There's a KFC on Bank Street, a street that cuts the city into east and west. And Ottawa went halal and closed down 6 months later. It's Trudeau. Halal KFC. But you know, something to do with that white supremacist and stuff too, right? It's pretty crazy. One sec, but also, what's her name? Linda Sarsour was here not too long ago. So, you know, as protesters gather outside, sold-out crowd greets Linda Sarsour with cheers, laughter. So, you know, I should have went to this. Palestinian-American activist says Brian Bowman is the first elected official to try to silence her. So our mayor came out and said that he wants her. They wanted people to rescind their invitation to Linda Sarsour because she's an anti-Semite, right? So she's like, it is I am the drama that you heard about before you got here. This is it, she said, arms outstretched to laughter and cheers from the crowd. So, you know, just trying to be comedic. For weeks, the Jewish Federation of Winnipeg and B'nai B'rith have called on the council to disinvite Sarsour over her past comments, which say they promote anti-Semitic tropes and question the foundation of the state of Israel. So it's always anti-Semitic tropes, right? Which is funny. Earlier this week, Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman joined them in calling for Sarsour's removal. Finally, an elected official has done the right thing. An elected official hasn't been afraid to stand up and say what needs to be said Ron East, one of the protesters. It's crazy. It's all because they're bringing into the city a person who should not be allowed to have a platform here, unless somebody else has a balance platform to counter the assertions that she's about to make inside that building. So, you know, they want Oh, no, it's not about censoring her. It's about having another person there to balance her comments. But that's why Brian Bowman was just like, no, disinvite her. And it's not because they care, that it's funny. She said way worse things about like white people and all this other shit. And, they're not going to disinvite her for any of that. But you're against the BDS movement, or you're for the BDS thing and like, boycotting Israel. You're a horrible anti-Semite. You're for Palestine because you're a Palestinian. And I don't even like Linda Sarsour. Like, fuck Linda Sarsour. But, let her speak, right? But the thing is, you see, it just kind of lets you know whose pockets are funding Bowman, right? Which SJW has more power over him? Is it the Muslims and the leftists and stuff, or is it the Jewish groups and stuff, right? And clearly the Jewish groups have more sway over the politicians, but they seem to be losing more and more of their power and their sway over the populace as a whole. And they're more, anti-Israel as a whole. And, trying to frame anybody who criticizes Israel as anti-Semitic isn't really going to work as much anymore. Well, not on people on the left anyways, because, but on the right, they'll still call you an anti-Semite for doing that. That even a leftist will still do that. Like, they'll criticize Israel, and then you'll be like, yeah, they shouldn't shoot all those Palestinians. Be like, shut up, you anti-Semite. You're clearly just saying that because you're a white supremacist racist. Blah, 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 and you hate Jews. I'm saying it because I love Palestinians. So it's like, there's no winning. It's no winning with those people. So that's why I don't care. I'm like, just kill yourselves off together in the Middle East. Just stop funding Israel. Stop giving money to Palestine. Let them just deal with each other. At the news conference earlier in the day, Sarsour said Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman called for her to be removed from the panel was unprecedented. Never have I received a mayor of a town, an actual sitting elected official, that has actually wanted to deny me my right to speak. You're in Canada. You don't have a right to speak here. Well, not if you're right wing. And, it's funny how leftists just love to spout like freedom of speech and right to speak and all this crap when none of them believe it. Just not even a fucking lick. Never have I received a mayor of a town say this to me. Oh, sure, they're part of the not sorry, unapologetically, I can't even say the word right now. I gotta drink some water. Working for social media, was forced to relocate from the original venue of the Seven Oaks Performing Arts Center, blah, blah, blah. So they had to relocate. And you know what? Like, and she's acting like a huge victim. Like, oh my God, the mayor said he didn't want me there. But, if you're right wing, if you're like, what is it? Richard Spencer, Faith Goldie, what's his name? Richard Taylor, or what's his name? Taylor, that white guy that says white, white, that guy who says white like that. They won't allow you into Europe. They won't even allow you into the country, right? You're not even allowed to go in. They'll kick you out. They'll put you in jail or like a holding cell for like a day and kick you back into America, whatever country you're from. But, you encounter this. And then if you're like Ben Shapiro, a huge cucky conservative, even that guy will face tons of Antifa going to his rallies, calling him a Nazi, trying to attack people, trying to throw things, bottles of piss and shit at people, like just degenerates. Oh, this mayor, never ever in my life I faced so much adversity. Yeah, stop complaining then, you fucking goddamn bitch. Friday's panel also included Quebec-based writer and activist Nora Loretto, the whore that came out and said, oh, well, all these Humboldt kids are getting all this money because they're white. And if they weren't white, they wouldn't be getting all these donations for all of the people that are getting money. So she's a cunt. She's a whore. Just a bitch. I've argued with her on Twitter before Twitter banned me. And I was like, oh, I remember arguing with her about some stuff. And I was like, you're just so stupid. Like, you're such a bitch. And then she was like complaining, like, I think she wrote some articles later about it, like, oh, I was a victim because of my comments about Humboldt, and then all these right-winger white supremacists came after me in my comment feed, and now I'm a victim. Oh, this is what they do. They come out, they say ridiculous shit. People come out in their comment section, say, you're a dumb bitch. And then they're like, oh, these hateful messages. I'm a victim. Then the media writes a story, or they write a story about it. And then the media picks up on it. Like, journalists, activists are receiving hatred from stupid thing that she said earlier that day. Fuck, Jesus Christ. And then they tie it all into a toxic online community of white males that are, saying mean, hurtful things to women and minorities online. It needs to be censored. Friday panel also included the bitch woman and Chantel Barker, whoever that is, head of the Restorative Justice with the Southern's Chiefs Organizations, with University of Winnipeg politics professor Shannon Sampert moderating. So I don't know. I'm guessing this is the chief lady because she's got like Indian earrings and like a chief garb dress. So she's like 20% Native or something, but she's like, I'm the head of the Native American chief things. He's questioned why the panel didn't include someone with a pro-Israel point of view. Why didn't you have any Zionists up there? This was never about deplatforming her or not giving her an opportunity to speak. It's about a balanced approach to these things, he said. Well, it clearly was, because you put the pressure on Bowman to kick her out, like to disinvite her. And then now all of a sudden, because you see all the backlash that you're getting for this, you're like, oh, no, it was never about taking away her platform. It was about having a balanced speaker. But then other people, it's like, oh, no, they say hate. They need to be censored. Hate isn't free speech. This was never about the platforming. I'm not happy about the controversy, but I'm also not immune to it. And I've never seen much worse before, she said. I've been targeted by the son of the President of the United States of America. So I think I can take a little mayor from Winnipeg. Look at her just like smiling like a fucking smug, self-righteous like bitch. And then this just feminist looks like where's Waldo? Like, where's Waldo? I don't know. I'll find you, but wear some makeup. Jesus. No, Harold Schuster with the Independent Jewish Voice, an international organization of Jews who are critical of Israel government, denied allegations that Sarsour is anti-Semitic. Schuster called Sarsour an anti-racist, which means anti-white, who is advocating for the rights of Palestinians who have legitimate grievances against Israel. In a city plagued by racism, like, could you not shit on the city with your denouncement of Brian Bowman, who himself is a fucking Métis? Hey, Métis mayor, your city is racist. Like, once again, this trope, that this Winnipeg trope that we're racist is Winnipeg phobic, and it's a thing that I've heard the media say for years now, and it's just it's a Winnipegophobic trope. That's what it is. In a city plagued by racism, for the mayor, who has campaigned on and succeeded in building bridges to lend credibility to such an attempt at silencing a marginalized anti-racist voice like Sarsour, is beyond shameful, he said. Sarsour gave a hug to her fellow panelist Nora Loreto, who told reporters she is no stranger to controversy herself. Yeah, because you're a bitch. We see the right wing organizing in this country and working very hard to intimidate people. It works. It is the problem. It works for far too many people, Loretta said. No, it wasn't. No, it doesn't work. You just don't like people calling you out on Twitter. For him to make an uninformed decision just based on one group's pressure or based on one individual, a few individuals, is not the sign of good leadership, in my opinion. Well, that's true. Bowman is shit. He is shitty, right? He's a fucking shitty leader, right? He wants to raise our property taxes to 9% because Pallister, who is the conservative prime minister, doesn't want to give Winnipeg more money. And he's like, well, okay, well, then I'm going to have to raise property taxes again this year. And he's been raising it every year since he's been in by 2.5% since he's been in office. And he's like, well, and I'm going to raise it to 9%. And you're like, what? Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And Pallister is doing some good things when it comes to, like, this guy. Look at the Métis Federation claims vendetta behind Pallister's decision to pull full governance funding. So, you know, this Métis Federation, they just take a bunch of our money and do nothing with it. Province has significant momentum. Funding already exists to support Métis self-governance. So David Chartrand says the Premier of Manitoba is being vindictive in canceling a third funding agreement in the Manitoba Métis Federation in the space of just over a year. The MMF president alleges Brian Pallister is yanking $290,000 in annual provincial money for the federation because Chartrand disputed the premier's explanation for the resignation of most of Manitoba Hydro's board last year. So, what a stupid allegation! Just because, so he's pulling the funding because he disputed his explanation for why people pulled out. You know, of the ministers that pulled out, 9 out of 10 of them, they were all liberals and leftists and NDP. And the only one that stayed was the conservative, right? Because, yeah, they were all paid off. They're all leftists who want Aboriginals in their pocket. So, of course, they're going to walk off. But Pallister maintains 9 members of the 10-member board quit because the province didn't want to pay the Manitoba Métis Federation $67 million for its support of the future hydro development. Chartrand said it was because the board couldn't get a meeting with Pallister. So that's why he said, because Pallister removed this money that he was giving, that the previous province negotiated to give to the Manitoba Métis Federation to kind of grease the tracks to allow them to get this Minnesota project with the hydroelectric dam in Canada so we can send energy over there to make more money. And the only way to do that was to grease these people's hands a little bit to give them all of this money. Or that's what the NDP and the other people kind of did. You know, they make laws to do this, right? They make laws to say, oh, you have to consult with the natives. And then when the natives say no, they're like, oh, I tried my best. Guys, I tried my best. Oh, I didn't want to give them all of this money. I didn't want to have to pay them off. But the law says we got to consult them, which means we need to bribe them. That's what it means. Consulting means, how much money do we need to give Métis or Aboriginal people to build this pipeline, right? How many jobs, how many preferred treatments, everything must we give? But then they're still going to come out and complain that they're victims and that they're oppressed and all of this crap. And I'm not going to blame all Aboriginal people, because I know lots of upstanding Aboriginal people who don't complain about all that shit. It's mostly these politicians and shit, a lot of them, and the chiefs and all this crap that often take all of the money for themselves. You know, I've been on plenty of reserves. I've worked up north for roofing. I've worked in the Paw, and I was working on this roof in the Paw up north. It's minus 40. And I'm working on this like grocery store, and there's all these stray dogs running around with like in the minus 40. And I'm like, oh my God, I felt so bad. I like bought dog food and I fed all these dogs, a lot of them. And a lot of them were short-haired dogs. And I'm like, they're not going to survive. And that's, a lot of them died too. A lot of them froze to death and died. Thousands do every year on reserves. But instead of saying, look, it is my fault they resigned, he grabbed the Manitoba Métis Federation file and said, here is the reason they resigned. Ever since then, our funding has been cut left and right. The overall mandate of the whatever MMFTSN process has been fulfilled. As a result, Manitoba will no longer be funding. So the two have been at odds, however, since March 18, when Palliser said his government wouldn't give the Manitoba Métis Federation persuasion money to get its endorsement for the hydroelectricity projects and cancel the $67 million payment. So this is the thing, you know, the previous government, and wonder why Winnipeg and Manitoba was in debt. You know, you wonder why, because we're paying off people like this. Here's $60 million. And it wasn't only that, we were giving them $1 million every year on top of that. Not even on top of the $67 million. That was just a part of the worked out. There was millions and millions given even before that. Months later, the province scrapped the $20 million turning the page agreement between the Métis Federation, Manitoba Hydro and province. The Federation plans to sue the government as a result. So I'm liking, you know, Palliser isn't the greatest, but I'm liking what the fuck he's doing when it's coming to these groups and cutting the fucking funding, because they're like, oh, we're going to lose like 10 jobs. Oh, 10 jobs? Fuck off. This is a clear insult to all Manitobans, not just the Métis people, by attacking the people that actually founded this province. Well, you know, Louis Riel, his father was Métis. So he was still 3/4 white. Okay, just saying. And I'm also not directly related to him. He's like a cousin, right? Because I'm not native. I don't have native blood in me. But lots of people made this fucking province. It wasn't just the Métis people, and it was, you know, Louis Riel definitely had a large role to play in it, but it wasn't. You know, he was mostly white. I'm just gonna say that. But there's a clear insult to all Manitobans, blah, blah. If the province really wanted to support Métis people, he said, it wouldn't force him to defend their right to self-government through the court system. The termination of the agreement would lead to the loss of 5 to 10 jobs, Chartrand said, but he expects to find other positions for the people currently in those positions. So let me assure you, your government will not be here forever, the letter reads. As for the Métis Nation, we were here before you, and we will be here long after you are gone. just some bullshit. I don't think anybody takes, like, you know, the chiefs and the shit that they say seriously. Honestly, I think everybody like just kind of like, okay, all right. The MMF audited financial statement said it received nearly $2 million in revenues from the province last year. So they're still getting fucking money, tons of money, and then they're using this money oftentimes to buy into other shit and get free stuff. And you're like, come on, man, like, fuck off, really? This is more about like inequality in Point Douglas and just an SJW who just pretty much attacking capitalism. So addressing the city's ongoing issue with poverty, inequality requires understanding our past, Kate whatever, Sajberg. I submit that part of the reason equity is so hard to reach in Winnipeg is that we misunderstand the production of poverty and fail to account for the power dynamics at its source. So it's always power dynamics, nothing to do with drive or laziness or anything to do with that. No. It's power dynamics. Calls for inclusionary zoning, land trust, protection of nonprofit housing, and yes, secondary plans are indeed helpful. But why have the hoped for outcomes of these other strategies, for example, healthy lives for all Winnipeggers through access, equity to good, safe housing, been so difficult to reach? Why don't we already enjoy this reality? Very strong context is offered in Owen Tay's recent publication, Stolen City, Racial Capitalism in the Making of Winnipeg. So, Stolen City. So, probably just some SJW nonsense saying that white people had all the good capitalism and gave the bad capitalism to the blacks and the natives and the minorities, which I rely on for some of my following arguments. Blah, 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 blah. A bunch of nonsense, stupid drivel, stupid crap that I don't really need to highlight. Inequality in this city has always been created by choice. No, it hasn't. Yeah, your own choices. And in spite of resistance from marginalized people defending their own interest, the patronized tradition of well-off beneficiaries of ongoing exploitation, divestment, and theft of capital from the north and inner city neighborhoods of Winnipeg to the south side of the tracks, and later to the suburbs, has always included victim blaming and pathologizing of the poor. So it was the original wealthy homeowners of Armstrong Point who, in part, made up the Citizens Committee of 1,000 who fought the strikes from Point Douglas, organizing for fair wages and working conditions so that they could support their families in their small Point Douglas cottages. Prior to the strike and afterwards, it was those same Armstrong Point residents who pitied the state of the poorer families of Point Douglas and often pointed to their culture of upbringing as the source of their poverty, not the fact that the wealthy themselves and their friends controlled wages and working conditions. So she's clearly a Marxist because you're controlling the wages and working conditions. So you right away you don't know what sets wages. Often, it has less to do. You know what? An owner doesn't set the wages. The customers set the wages. Okay? Because if you have competition and you have many different businesses, right? And they're all trying to provide a similar product. Well, you could have, and just say there's like 100 of these different businesses. Well, the people that want to retain the best people are going to pay those people slightly more because those people bring more profit to your business in the long run. So, this will gradually bring up the wages and everything like that. But, like it's what the customer is willing to pay for the product, and then what your competitors are often willing to pay for the worker that will more set the price or the wage of the worker. Because if they pay them too little, then they're just going to go somewhere else, right? Like that. If there's competition, if there's other places for them to go, they'll just leave and they'll go somewhere else that pays them more money. And then, gradually you'll have more competition and they're going to keep, employers want to pay good people more money because most smart employers know that keeping a good employee is a good employee is hard to find. It's very hard to find. Lots of people are lazy. Lots of people don't show up on time. Lots of people have bad attitudes. Lots of people are stupid. They're just not that bright. They can't think that well on their feet. And if you can find somebody that does all of these things and that, most employers will do a lot to keep those people because they know the value they bring to the company and stuff. But these people, they're like, no, it's unions. We make your wages and we fought for this and we did this. And whereas there was already also like a progression to that happening anyways. There was already wages were already increasing for everybody. Kids were already not working in factories anymore or getting out of working in factories and all this stuff because of the rise of wealth. We might draw parallels today to suburban residents living in new developments who fear venturing to inner city or north end neighborhoods. So this is funny, right? Like this is some person. She says she lives, I think, in the north end around there. So she looks like a hipster who's just waiting to get stabbed. Like she's waiting to get stabbed, man. It's like we might draw parallels today to the suburban residents living in the new developments who fear venturing to the inner city of North End. Yeah, have you been there? Did you see all the stories that I just showed you of people randomly getting stabbed during the day? Old ladies, 60-year-old ladies, men, people near the train tracks getting shot. Like what are you? Oh, you just, these privileged people don't want to go into this fucking the North End where there's crazy bums and meth addicts that are gonna like attack you, and who are wont to draw lazy conclusions rather than economic ones. Indeed, the economic reasons are always more difficult since they implicate every single one of us rather than inaccurately slowing off the responsibility onto, for example, a racialized group of people. So, it's stop blaming them. It's your fault. What will it take to achieve proper funding for the Indian and Métis Friendship Center? So, see, it's all about funding. It's always about more money. We need more money. Or rooming house policies that ensure safety and health for residents. We all need to live in communes where we all share houses and nobody shaves their armpits. And this is, no. How can we prevent the ongoing closure of public housing? How can we achieve income and jobs policy that would solve poverty and start to lessen our mental health and addiction crisis? Isn't this the way, though? These days, it can seem we are more likely to see leaders push to rename city infrastructure than work to make the kinds of changes that would bring justice to our communities. Well, she's right about that. To me, the piece asks the wrong question. It's not how do we include the North End as part of the city we are proud of. Instead, it's how can we interrupt our city's ongoing tradition of misappropriating land, wealth, and assets so that every community can thrive of its own accord. So, look at this feminist. Look at, she's wearing a hat. She looks like she has short hair. Jesus Christ. Look at her. What she's wearing. Dressed like a woman. But see, you see this? No agency whatsoever on anybody else. The only reason people are poor is because we stole it from them. The only reason other neighborhoods are rich is because Reese's were allocated to those areas as opposed to the northern areas and the North End into racialized communities. This is why they're poor and you're rich. Nothing to do because of your parents going to school and being married and teaching you not to, steal or be drunks or whatever. Nothing to do with that. It's just the distribution of wealth from privileged classes to other privileged classes, et cetera, right? Just get out of here. Get out of Winnipeg. We don't need you, Kate Schwarzberg. Georgeberg. She's from like Sweden or something. I looked up her name, but I don't know, see her face. She's probably a massive SJW on Twitter. But this is that kid whose parents, whose you know, who died. And this is pretty sad, right? Like this is a sad story. Hold on a second. Let me check the chat quickly here though first. I haven't checked it for a little bit. AJ, do the natives do some roofing too? Yeah, I work with lots of Aboriginals doing roofing. AJ, do you get racism bad attitude when you go on reserves? No, I've never really gotten too much racism on reserves or anything like that. Had some fucked up experiences and stuff, but yeah. But what about Lying Kid and her family? Fake job. Make sure I didn't. The Winnipeg story made the beauty. Okay, make sure I just didn't miss anything up on top, guys. Sorry, I probably missed a lot of your chat earlier up here. Say, hey, John. Hey, McNoogs. You guys still in here? Incredible Pits in England. St. John. Wouldn't have thunk that. Let's see here. Just got here. What's wrong with Winnipeg besides being Winnipeg? Hey, screw you, Jerry. Screw you. Don't talk about Winnipeg that way. They graduated from government jobs. Yeah, Canada is feeling the Mulrooney legacy right now. Yeah, you're right, Beth. It's exactly what's happening. Wouldn't have thunk that. I was flipping real estate out of notorious hellhole town, Stoke-on-Trent. And do natives pits? See if I miss any questions up here, guys. No. Okay. Perch snatching. Let me delete that here. Teen arrested. That 3 stab North End. I got this one story that I have. I want to show you guys the video of this. I think I still have it, but this is kind of scary, right? I think it's worrying, right? It's worrying to see stuff like this on Twitter and whatnot, right? Okay.
They come from all.
Like this just makes you think that, you know, to the average person, they're watching this and they're like, oh, these people, they're everywhere.
Tradesmen, soldiers.
Watch this, guys. It's pretty scary.
A financial analyst, an aspiring lawyer. They gather on the internet to strategize and seek pathways into mainstream politics. They are anti-Semitic,
just making sure I can
Islamophobic, sexist, and racist.
Let me go back just in case, because I probably talked a little bit during it. So okay. Listen to the music too. Listen to the music. They're like, this reminds me of like Terminator. Anybody else remind you of Terminator? You better not fuck up on me there, you dumb whore.
They come from all walks of life. Tradesmen, soldiers, a student teacher.
That's me. I'm a tradesman.
A financial analyst, an aspiring lawyer. They gather on the internet to strategize and seek pathways into mainstream politics.
This is a Globe and Mail, by the way. And a bunch of leftists have been retweeting this, as well as CBC, who did an article on this too.
They are anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant, Islamophobic, sexist, and racist.
He's talking about you guys, chat.
They are the new far right in Canada. The Globe and Mail has
That's my Discord.
obtained a trove of 150,000 messages posted between February 2017 and early 2018 that reveal chats between a loosely aligned group of Canadian right-wing extremists.
Okay, that's not my Discord. It's not my Discord.
The discussions were originally on a text and voice application called Discord. The Globe viewed them through an application that could display text and image history. Messages were given to
Watch what you say, boys.
Montreal-based anti-fascists. The chats celebrate Nazism, joke about the Holocaust, and proudly recall racist, sexist, and homophobic behavior on the part of participants.
Proudly.
A notable theme throughout the chat was to hide their true beliefs in daily life and appear less extreme to aid recruitment and gain widespread acceptance.
I know from my own work, not just my recent work, but going back 20 years or more, that's not necessarily a new process. That this is something that ebbs and flows.
The hell do you know? What do you know? You look like a stay-at-home mom who like does this on her free time.
And it's cyclical depending on
that's sexist, I know. I'm sorry.
When it's on the upswing as we see now. They're sort of feeling their strength and they want that to grow and to expand. So those are the times when you're likely to see them not step back from the ideology, but step back from that real blatant, displays of the symbols and all those visible signs. We saw it in the 80s and the 90s with David Duke, as long ago as that, when he said to the Klan, essentially, throw off your white robes, right, and put on your business suits as a way to cloak themselves in legitimacy and credibility to sort of sanitize their presentation. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
The roughly 180 members of the group do more than simply talk online. They meet in person, spread propaganda, and encourage each other to recruit and expand the movement. They have also attempted to infiltrate...
If Bernier gets party leader, this will probably be the first political party I get actively involved in. Look at some shade at Bernier there. A little far right, anti-right shit. I didn't even notice that for.
Purchase weapons and discuss training.
This is something of a content, this tendency to be so heavily armed and to represent themselves as heavily armed as well. In the past, there had been some groups that, presented themselves in violent ways, through those sorts of images.
See, if you talk about guns in your Discord, like if you just like guns, which a lot of people do, a lot of people just like guns, like to shoot guns, like to hunt, do all this shit. But now if you're like in a conservative fucking Discord and you're talking about guns, they'll be like, oh.
It's across multiple groups now. And even those that emerge as, groups that seem relatively benign, have the ideology. And over time, they seem to have sort of moved in this direction. Again, the fact that we're seeing so much engagement from former and current military and law enforcement personnel, apparently, within the movement, I think that is worrying as well. So now what we've got is this deadly combination of people who are armed and trained to use those arms in tactical.
Nobody worry about Islamic terrorism, though. Remember, Islam is peace.
Offensive and defensive ways, and then that combined with the xenophobia, the negative ideology.
I don't know what's loading.
That's a very dangerous combination, I think.
Fucking loading.
Far-right violence is not new to Canada.
Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's...
In New Brunswick in 2014, 3 police officers were killed by a far-right extremist, and a shooting at a Quebec City mosque in January 2017 left 6 people dead. In both cases...
It's almost done.
The men convicted of the killings had been radicalized online. It's clear that an internet-based extremist subculture has spread across the globe. What to do about it will be an urgent question for both politicians and for the leaders of some of the world's biggest social media companies.
Bitch. Look at Rosemary Barton. She retweeted that. She retweeted this just the other day. She's like, interesting read, guys. I recommend you guys check this out. Where was this on her? This is well worth your time. Canada's new far right, a trove of private chat room messages revealing extremist subcultures. So Rosemary Barton, Trudeau's puppet for the CBC, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what's trending here. Maybe there's some You new Boys in the Hood, blah, blah, blah. Look at the Moments thing. Oh, beluga whales. ISIS leader. Simpsons draws criticism for seal clubbing. Oh, yeah, there's that seal clubbing thing with Trudeau, blah, blah. And then I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones. I'm not going to ruin any of that, though, for you. I think, I'm just kind of sick of the whole female shit going on, though, in Game of Thrones and just, strong female characters. I'm, getting kind of sick of that. Let me go up here a little bit. Of course, look at her. She just tuned in. We need to start over. It wasn't me. It was AJ's fault. Cons cannot be trusted. Let's see here. Let me check out the chat. Facts, Jews torch, no truth. Oh, I gotta be careful about that. What do you say? I can't read everything. This is dangerous scare tactic. Yeah, it is a scare tactic. It's trying to make it seem like right-wing conservatives or there's a threat of white supremacists around every corner, and you see this everywhere. The media is promoting like right-wing threat here, right-wing threat here. There's another article from I think on my Reddit here where there's a thing about another right-wing supremacist or something in Canada by the CBC, and they're relentless with releasing these pieces just to scare the public into thinking that this is the threat we need to worry about, instead of the clear threat of Islamic terrorism or I don't know, Jewish supremacy or something, right? And just mass immigration in general, right? Let's not talk about that. Let's worry about these white supremacists, right? No, it's ridiculous. What was this story here? CBC leading with liberals propaganda. Yeah, this is another article that CBC released. It's a right-wing supremacist. Once a white supremacist, always a right supremacist. So then it just goes in the story about this guy who shot up this Sikh place, or somebody who did, and this guy was involved in the same group, and now they're working together, fighting racism as buddies, as friends. Now they're like, my dad was killed by one, and I was one, and see, we can turn the tide against this, and yada, yada, yada. Racism is bad. Yes, we all know that. Fun fact, in some statistics, Islamic extremism is considered far right. yeah, right? Isn't that true, too? They'll throw that in there. They sound like Bennett. White people might wake up. Well, hopefully they wake up very soon. But I think that, I wonder what the average normie is thinking when he's seeing videos like the Globe and Mail talking about the threat of white supremacists on Discord, talking about things online, talking about weapons and organizing, etc. So a lot of people have been warning about Discord for a while, and I still use it, and at the moment I don't have any problems. Nobody's being ridiculous on it, so I don't really see too much of a problem. But it does exist. But really, any platform you're on can be infiltrated. It really doesn't matter what you're on. They're going to get on and they're going to pretend to either be your friend. They're going to pretend to be, there's a lot of people working for the FBI, or not the FBI, but these alphabet corporate or governmental bodies that are trying to infiltrate this, and same with foreign bodies as well. There's foreign governments like China, Israel, etc., going in trying to create division within other countries and stuff. This is what countries do all the time as well. They'll try to create division in other countries so they can go in and take them over because they're weakened. They're much weaker. But I thought that was funny that they did mention Maxime Bernier in that video, though. Bernier, I'm going to go vote for him. And it didn't even say anything nationalistic or anything like that, right? I mean, it didn't say anything violent. It just said like it showed just a little thing of support for Bernier. They just included that in there, right? So it's like, oh, okay, what exactly are they trying to tell you? Which is pretty funny. And that kind of just makes me want to support people like him, honestly, more if the media is calling him a white supremacist or lumping him up with those types of people. Yeah, the Canadian Nationalist Party, right? But you see they didn't mention the Canadian Nationalist Party, right? So why didn't they mention the Canadian Nationalist Party? Why did they mention Bernier? Because the media, these people, they mention the people that they think are at this very moment more of a threat, right? And not that he is like, yeah, you don't trust him. A lot of people don't trust him. I completely understand that. You shouldn't trust many politicians at all. And but it's kind of it's like some of the things he's talking about is just is the stuff that the media, that the elitists, etc., don't want average people hearing again, right? So, more like he does have more of a platform than the Nationalist Party, so he's going to get more coverage when he says something as opposed to when they say something. So even when he's softer on a lot of stuff, it's still kind of more of a threat to some extent, right? Like you look at Twitter even, and you see a lot of people that are being banned, and you see some people that still have accounts, right? Like Richard Spencer still has a Twitter account. A lot of these other people still have Twitter accounts, but Alex Jones doesn't have a Twitter account. Tommy Robinson doesn't have a Twitter account. A lot of these different people don't have Twitter accounts, but some of the more far right type people, they have them, right? Well, they do need more coverage, right? But I don't know. Who vote for whomever you want at the end of the day. As long as it's not really any of the too liberal or conservative party right now with the things that they are proposing. I honestly think Nationalist Party is good because that doesn't have a shot at winning either, right? I tell people vote for the party like the Nationalist Party, Menckin Party, the Christian Heritage Party, if you want. That one actually has a decent platform, and vote for one of these. Well, BM's got it right. Twitter can do as it pleases. Yeah. We all know Twitter's the private company, blah, blah. Yeah, I've heard that too. If voting made a difference, it wouldn't be illegal, but it does make a somewhat of a difference. We all have to kind of admit that because, like the carbon tax, for one thing. Like, I don't know, like a lot of conservatives, maybe they're either just saying they're against it just because it's the thing to do to be against the opposition, but at the same time, removing the carbon tax would give a lot more money back to people just in the meantime, right? So like there are things that do change with voting. It's so you have a couple options, right? There's really three options that we have on the table, right? So there is not voting, right? And just kind of letting the system go and putter out and kind of fall apart and destroy, right? And I want the system to collapse to some extent as well too. It's a bad system. The government, the thing that we have right now, it's not good. It needs to collapse. But what we also need to understand is that they're propping up the system long enough to import a lot of people that are going to replace us in the meantime, right? So I would be all fine with doing absolutely nothing and letting the system collapse, right? Because then if we were more homogenous, right? But the fact is we're not more homogenous. So what's going on right now is if you completely step out of the political sphere, then these other people are still going to be voting, and they'll be voting for bigger government and more immigration, open borders. And while that's going on, the system is still going to be going on. Like, it's still not going to collapse yet. It might be 10 years down the road, 20 years, maybe sooner, right? And as that's going on, like, if you guys saw the last thing, it said by 2036, Canadians are going to be almost a minority by 2036. Immigrants are going to represent like 56% of the population or something. So we have a very short time span. So let's just say the system keeps going on for another 10 years and then it collapses. Well, that might not be good, right? It might not be good if we just kind of completely step out and we don't actually start to reduce immigration or try to make steps to stop what is going on right now. Because we want things to collapse, we want things to change, but we don't want it to happen when we're massively divided demographically, because then that's going to create a lot of conflict. Because if we were to have a downfall and we're all homogenous, then that increases the likelihood of us all working together as a team to achieve the goal of survival. But when it's a bunch of different groups that we have in the country right now, of different ethnicities and different ethnic groups, they're all going to be tribalistic and they're all going to be fighting for the resources at once. So what people need to be at least prepared to do is get ready to fucking defend yourselves, guys. Like, honestly, that is something that people really need to start to understand. This is not a joke. I hope for the best. I hope that things work out the best, that people don't succumb to their base instincts and do horrible things. But that happens, and people need to be prepared for that type of stuff to happen. So you need to be ready to defend yourself. You need to be ready, because if you're not strong enough to keep what you've built, keep what your ancestors have created, then somebody is going to take it from you. That's just the simple fact. Is somebody bigger, stronger is going to come around and take it from you, especially in a situation where there is massive collapse and we're in a situation like that. So it's a difficult situation that we're in right now. It's almost like you'd want to prolong the system in a sense to try to rectify a few things and then have it collapse, but I don't know. Maybe it'd be better if everything just were to collapse immediately, or just vote Trudeau in again. Don't vote at all, or better yet, vote Trudeau in. If your goal is to speed the collapse of the system, if your goal is to have the bubble pop, have the economy collapse, because we're in massive amounts of debts as it is already. Canada is one of the most indebted nations on the planet. It's going to continue to do so. We're not going to scale back our debt. Trudeau is running a 15, 16, 19 billion dollar deficit each and every year that he said he was going to scale back by 2019, which he isn't doing, which he hasn't done whatsoever. So, if your goal is to speed up the decline of the system, yeah, there's fucking maybe vote Trudeau in, but he's going to be bringing in a ton of fucking immigrants in the next 4 years, probably 400,000, as well as refugees, as well as letting in illegal aliens. But Andrew Scheer isn't a lot better, right? So, we're in a shitty fucking situation in Canada, right? It's a really, really shitty spot. Whites are attacked on a daily. Vote Bernier, take votes away from cons so they reform. Yeah, that was my initial idea. The one is that you know, you got to vote for other parties as opposed to the Conservative Party, because you can't be stuck in this two-party system that, you know, it's like a fake choice. You know, yes, the Conservatives are going to be a little bit better than the Liberals. If they win, they're going to do things a little bit better. But look at Jason Kennedy saying that he wants to increase entrepreneurship in rural communities in Alberta. So that means importing a bunch of refugees into and immigrants into you know, rural places. Same with what Ahmed Hussein wants to do. So, you know, a lot of these conservatives want to fucking replace you as well. Maybe they don't want to do it, like, but they're doing it. Whether or not they think they know it, they want to, whether or not it's a conspiracy or not, it doesn't matter. That is what is happening. So it's like, what do you do? So yeah, like the one was saying, you know, you vote for a party like Maxime Bernier, the Christian Heritage Conservative Party, the Nationalist Party of Canada, right? So what this does is, instead of not voting at all, it will make it so the conservative type party, whatever, will see where they're losing all of their votes, and they'll see, hey, it's the parties that's talking about immigration. And it's not so much that voting matters, right, and helps and makes a difference. It's more that what you want to get your politicians to start talking about, to bring into the conversation, right? Because that helps a lot. When, let's just say, a bunch of celebrities tomorrow, like Cardi B and Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these fucking people tomorrow are like, small government is great, conservatism is awesome, you know, and they all kind of did this stuff in unison, right? You would start to see a lot of people be like, yeah, I like small government. I like these things. Small government is great. You know why? Because most people are sheep, and they're easily led by politicians, by you know, celebrities, by musicians, by actors. And when Harrison Ford flies his jet and stops to get a cheeseburger, then flies his jet to the UN and tells people, you guys got to stop using so much carbon because it's destroying the atmosphere. And then he's going to go on his jet and fly away, right? You know, it's like, these people, they don't believe in literally any of what the fuck they're saying, right? But perhaps it's time to break into smaller pieces instead of being a larger Canada, Alberta. Yeah, I agree too, you know, break into smaller pieces. I was saying, you know, you vote for other parties because, you know, you want people, you want politicians, you want celebrities to start talking about small government, to start talking about immigration, because that is not being spoken about in Canada right now. So let's just say the conservatives start talking about small government, start talking about, hey, we're getting way too many immigrants. You know, if they're looking at the poll numbers and they see 51% of people now think there's too many visible minorities in Canada, right? They'll start to change their tune. Well, by that time, you can't really trust them, right? They're going to say what they want to say, etc. But, you know, and by that time, other parties will start to grow and get bigger and stuff. But it's like right now with the conservatives, it's kind of, for me, it's a little bit too little, too late, right? There's been many indications for you to come out and say, like, no, we need to stop immigration, or we can't sign this immigration pact. You know, they only came and talked bad about it after a lot of people were down their throats telling them, hey, this is bad, right? Michelle Rempel made a video saying that, oh, don't worry, it's a non-binding agreement at one point. And then later on, she was like, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm fighting to tell him to revoke it. And it's like, well, too little, too late. You know, same with the SNC Lavalin scandal. Well, you know, you're bitching about Trudeau possibly influencing the prosecution, where, yeah, that's a big deal. You know, he shouldn't have done that. That's whatever. But the real issue is Trudeau changing the law and then going to Jody Wilson-Raybould, or changing the law in 2018 to making it possible for Jody Wilson-Raybould to influence the prosecution. That's the whole problem. And they could have raised questions. They could have told people and yelled and bitched and moaned about this before it was even voted into the bill in 2018 that Trudeau put in there. You know, they'll be like, oh, he snuck it in. But, you know, the Conservatives, they all read that, but they looked at it too, and they're like, oh, well, we could use this to pay off some of our buddies in the future. So, you know, the Conservatives are fucking cucks, and that's why they don't really deserve to win. And they would just be kind of like the same thing as Trudeau, but just maybe a little bit better, but we're still on the same pathway. And like I've talked about with the Canadian Libertarian yesterday on the speech too, or on the discussion, is that one of the main important things that we need to discuss is immigration. That's one of the most important things that we need to talk about. It's not even it barely even has to do with economics anymore. Like, that is important. We can talk about socialism and capitalism and all these other things, but I'm still going to talk about it somewhat because it ties into immigration as well. But it's not so important, our disagreements sometimes between, especially people on the right, between the minutia of how big the government should be, whether it should be this big, this small, non-existent. These are kind of unimportant arguments for us to have at this moment in time, right? You know, we just got to kind of group together on things that we do agree on and what we can agree on, because we're so far away from having a small government or anything like this at this point. And also, like, we need to talk about, like I was saying, immigration. You know, if we don't talk about immigration, we're never going to have the opportunity to discuss what size of government it's going to be, because we're all going to be replaced by Chinese, Muslims, Africans, Mexicans, all these people who are going to want either Sharia law or some version of socialism. So it's not going to be a discussion between small government and medium-sized government, or what. It's going to be discussion between socialism and communism, and that's the only discussion we're going to be having. So we need to do something about immigration, and people, conservatives, libertarians specifically, who only want to talk about the economy, who only want to talk about these things, needs to speak up about immigration, because the majority of libertarians are white males, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And if you want a freer society, a society that has more rights, freedom of speech, that has property rights, that has the things that our forefathers fought and died for, then, you know, we're going to need to do that. Sorry about that. Someone came in my room. Fucking roommate. What if the current government's brought in the same number of immigrants, but they were European? Do it. What if the current government brought in the same number of immigrants, but they were European? Well, you know, that's the thing, right? We can't really do that either, because they're also facing massive replacement within their countries as well too, right? So it's not like we can supplement our populations with their populations. And the problem necessarily isn't us having less people. Less people isn't necessarily a problem. It's a problem when we have a massive government that provides a welfare state to everybody, that gives pensions to everybody. If we didn't have pensions, we didn't have unfunded liabilities, if we didn't have welfare, Because look at the arguments that these leftists bring all the time when they're trying to bring in a bunch of immigrants to replace us. What do they say? They say, well, we need to pay for pensions and you're not having enough kids, so we're not going to get enough tax dollars to pay for all of this socialism in the future. So it's like, hey guys, we all know socialism is bad anyway, so why are we fighting so hard to keep it? Why don't we just get rid of it? Say, okay, let's scale back this socialism, scale back the size of the government. Then we won't need, they'll have zero argument about immigration because we won't have a government pension. We'll have private pensions. We won't have private government healthcare. We'll have private healthcare. We won't have socialism. Welfare. We'll have private charities. So they will have no argument to replace us. So this is why people should incorporate the small state argument with immigration, because a lot of people are stuck because they don't believe in a small government and the ability that it has to rectify the situation that we're in right now. Because let's just say we were to stop all redistribution of wealth going on in Canada right now. Well, in America as well. Well, we are still in Canada about 70% of the population, maybe less now, I think, whatever, but still the majority, right? So if we were allowed to keep all of our resources, the majority of our money, and if we have on average, higher intelligence to some other groups of people per se, then what's going to naturally happen is we're going to have more money, we're going to have more kids, the certain groups are going to have less kids, and it's going to start to rectify itself over time. Plus, you're not going to have a bunch of immigrants coming over because people will say, well, corporations are still going to try to import immigrants into your country for cheap labor. Well, the only reason that they can do this right now is because illegal aliens, like in America and Canada as well too, but specifically more in America too, it's even worse there, they get on welfare, they get all of the same socialism that some other people may get, right? But then they don't have to pay into it whatsoever. And they get to work under the table on top of that. So they don't even need as much money as a regular person would need. So they can always undercut people. So if you don't have socialism and all these things, that person wouldn't be necessarily undercutting you. And the only reason they're paying these Mexican workers as opposed to American workers more, it has to also do with the unions and us raising the prices of the average worker in Canada and all that other stuff, that we have some role to play in that too. But a white Canadian worker is way more profitable, way more worthwhile to employ, and is going to produce more than probably a Mexican, right? But if you can pay that Mexican $6 as opposed to paying the white guy 15 or 16, even though a white guy could produce more, they're going to pay the Mexican $6. But if you're on an even scale now and they're not getting welfare, so they're not getting a subsidized cuts and they're not getting to undercut their wage, then they're going to have to pay, they're going to have to get paid around the same much as you. So then they're going to pick you over them the majority of the time. So, then that's going to make it, then more white people are going to get jobs. So, the reduction of the government will have a direct correlation with the demographics. And a lot of people, once they understand this, I think that they will start to try to work for a smaller government. It's on timeout. He's still here. BM was abusive towards us. Was it being abusive? I didn't see what he said. You want to see slave labor? Look at how many of these groups run. Brings over someone to work for them to pay off sponsoring them to come. Yeah, exactly, right? That's what I've seen lots is a lot of these people, they'll bring in a lot of these workers, they're buddies from their country, and then they'll make them sleep all in like one house. There'll be like 6 people in a room, and they'll be like, I'm in Canada. This is great. And like they won't care. right? They don't care that they share a room with like 3-4 other people. They'll be like, I'm not in this country anymore. I'm in Canada, whatever. But and then these guys are, taking a lot of the money, giving them like even less money than what they were going to take initially. Then we got the visa programs also that come in, which subsidize half of the wage of the immigrant, and then the employer only has to pay half. So what is employers going to do, and how are you going to compete with that? Like, if an employer gets this visa program, and then the government pays the guy 15, and then you pay him 15, well, as opposed to hiring me, like a roofer, that now he's going to have to pay me like $30 an hour. Well, he's just going to pay this guy that they can bring in, and he can pay him 15, and then the government will cover half. And then then he can even lower the cost of his jobs to compete with our jobs. And then what happens as well is they'll get into trades, and they'll get unionized, or they'll have all of these different, you'll get the Red Seal trade. And this increases the price as well, makes you even less competitive. So if you don't have a union, if you don't have all these extra costs, then you can barter. Then you could actually be like, okay, we'll do this job for a little bit less, blah, blah, blah. But when you're under these other constraints, there's no ability for people to barter. So we're putting ourselves, we wonder why our jobs are being sent to all these other places. Well, it's the regulations we have, the unions, the fucking subsidization that's going on, all this globalization that's going on. It's just fucking all of us. But, it has nothing really to do with capitalism or the free market as a whole, right? People like to blame it, but it's not that. It's the expansion, it's the growth of the state that is really, really behind it. They want foreign slavery, right? Right. I think they've understood that a good way to control people is to bring in a lot of different types of people. They've been slowly manipulating us to make us more docile. For years, people didn't want to send their kids to public schools, but the government now forced them to do it. Now we know why people didn't want their kids to be educated in public education, but this is where they go to brainwash your kids to make them into good little workers, right? Because look at all the leaders of your country. Did any of them go to public schools? No, they all went to private schools, because in private schools, that's where they teach you how to be entrepreneurs. That's how they teach you how to be leaders. But in public schools, they teach you how to be a worker. They teach you how to work for these people, because the elites, they don't want people entering into their class of people. So they want to keep you in your public schools learning the dumbed down curriculum. And then these people in private schools can learn in much different ways, in new ways that are more conducive to learning. And that, they don't want you also to have that experience. They want you to stay stupid. They want you to stay like a drone, just like a good little worker. In schools, before the government intervened in schools, it started off like these settlers. And that's why America and Canada and stuff, like early on, it was so great, because, you didn't have state-run education, because all through history, in the Roman eras and in the Greek era, like the Spartans, you had like state-run schools where you threw kids in schools for 12 years and to literally make them into a good soldier for the Roman or the Spartan Empire, etc. And people, that's what they still use that for. That's what they still use schools for, is to make them like that. But when America started, and it was away from the centralized type of government, it was just little settlers that, initially just educated their own kids. And then over time, they kind of got into bigger groups, and then they got like teachers to educate their kids. And then that started like competition, right? And they could there wasn't like a curriculum. Everybody had to learn, but you hire smart people to teach your kids, because everybody's you're developing, you're farming, etc. during the day. Not everybody can teach their kids are intelligent enough to do it. And this is how the schooling system initially started, why it was so good. And then they started incorporating the government and the state. And I was watching this video earlier, and it had something to do with like after the Confederate War or the Civil War, that's when they started to introduce government education and government schooling, right? It was right after the Civil War. And just, progressively more and more and more, the government got more and more in school with, like the Bush and their father and Bush Sr. and Obama. And also, like in Canada, it's always been bad, right? But in America, it's been getting worse and worse. The amount of control that a government has over the curriculum. Because why would we expect the government to teach us to be good, to think for ourselves, to think that we can do things ourselves, to understand we don't need the government to take care of us? Why would they do that? They wouldn't. It'd be against their interest. Why would a system that is dependent on your consent to retain power want you to dismantle that power in any way, shape, or form? AJ gets it mostly. Fuck you, slavey. Screw you, you bastard. No kidding. You get banned from my channel. I'm kidding. A wasteful society is a spending society. I agree. Well, consumerism is bad, right? Too much, but it's okay to buy some shit. It's terrifying, Winnipeg. Canada has fallen to Islam. That's true. That is not true. Yes, it is true. I like black cats. Yeah, I like gray cats too. I like other ones. Not racist. We need a decrease, not an increase. What if the current government's brought in the same number of immigrants? But okay, that was earlier. Trudeau is gay. I agree with you guys. He is a gay. Black fur. Yeah, Trudeau is a pansy. Just released that gay loony video I made. Got a lot of views, by the way. It's up to like 25,000 views at this point. I was like, holy shit. Like a lot of people don't like that gay loony, apparently. I don't know. But I know a lot of people. I saw a lot of people making videos about Trudeau's new gay loony. Like that did trigger a fucking a lot of people to get angry or something, right? But yeah, I guess it's a humble brag, I guess. But I'm just saying, like, that's a lot. That's a lot. I've had more than that, but not very often. It's not because it was great. I think it's just because sometimes the algorithm, or I was maybe one of the first people to make the video about it. Sometimes that's just how it works out. Do they monetize your Goonie vid? Oh, well, none of my videos are monetized. The only thing I have it's monetized my channel, but I don't monetize my videos, right? Yeah, I'm bragging, BM. So what? You're a thought. You're a thought, man. I'll have you on my channel. I'll bring you on and we'll have a discussion. Honestly, man, you're hilarious. I was reading the chat the other day, and I was just laughing, man. You're fucking hilarious, to be honest. You're a good troll. You're a pretty funny troll. AJ, are you ever afraid of being attacked in Winnipeg? No, not really. That's because I'm just not like afraid of it, but not that I think it can't happen. But yeah, I've had some I have sketchy people approach me all the time and shit, but I just usually it's like when I'm roofing or something, the people will be like, "Hey, can I get a job?" I'm like, "Apply, go and apply, man." Like, I'm not gonna give you a job. You're looking for another timeout? No, you don't have to give him a timeout. That's okay. You are a thought. I don't know. No, he makes me laugh, to be honest. He's funny. You know, it's like as long as he doesn't start spamming the chat like crazy and shit, like you know, every like second comment. Time me out. Tell him I am. Yeah, he's one of the chosen people, guys. Don't ban the chosen people. Linda Sarsour, that Muslim Brotherhood mouthpiece, told her followers to start attacking all who go against Islam. Did she say that? Well, I wouldn't doubt it. I walked out of the store and was punched in the face by a brick. The guy ran away and he was never caught. What the hell? I have over 10 titanium plates and scars on my face for life. Well, that's fucked up, Falcor. Was that in Winnipeg? Yeah, man. Like, it's getting more worrisome. Like I was saying, if you guys go back and watch the earlier video I showed, like on Osborne, there was 3 guys that got stabbed randomly. A bunch of people. There's this little Asian guy who got shot near the train tracks. Yeah, right. You know, Saint Vital. Was that? Did that happen in Saint Vital? Saint Vital is not a bad area, but you know, I've had one guy come at me with a screwdriver in South Saint Vital. Fucking, he's all like, I don't know. I think he must have been high on meth or something, man. It was a few years ago, and then he's like, oh, and I closed my door, and he like smashed it. And right outside my door, there was a girl murdered like just a few years ago. I lived on this area. It was called like Clayton. And right in front of my place, there was this girl murdered by this black dude who I think shot her or stabbed her. But he was like told to kill her by her boyfriend or something, because I guess she knew something. So it was something gang related. But literally, I was going to work that morning. And if I would have been 15 minutes late, I probably would have seen the whole fucking altercation happen in front of my place, right? But, you know, I went to work and shit. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. He looked high on meth. He was Aboriginal. Well, yeah, man, it was just, you know, I had this one Aboriginal approached me the other day. And he just looked like, oh, he's like, where's Delta? You know where Delta 9 is? And I'm like, yeah, it's down St. Vital and shit, right? But yeah, you know, that's crazy, man. There's a lot of fucked up shit, and there's you know, people like this guy right here. Let me share this story. In Winnipeg, this is that family, the Asian family, the Filipino family. So the second guy that was charged has 45 prior convictions since 2013. So initially, there was just one guy who was charged in the killing of this Filipino guy who was protecting his grandmother. You know, James, 34, was charged with manslaughter Wednesday in the death of Winnipeg teen. Police said Thursday, Jordan Delmar, James, 34, was charged Wednesday. And these are all Aboriginal guys, by the way. Like, all the criminals here are pretty much Aboriginal, I'm pretty sure, because a lot of them, you know, they're not going to show the race. So it's kind of like, what am I left to fucking assume? With manslaughter in connection with the death of Jamie Aldo Jr., 17, who was killed in what police say was a random home invasion last Monday. Ronaldo Chubb, 29, was charged last month with second-degree murder in connection with Adio's death. On Thursday, police said they believe James was in the home during March 3rd homicide. James has a list of more than 45 prior convictions since 2013, including a number of thefts, assaults, and break-ins. His most serious crime was aggravated assault, for which he served nearly 3.5 years. So, you know, just slap on the wrist. 3.5 years, that's the most time he got for 45 prior convictions. But, you know, if you're an Aboriginal, man, they'll let you off, and then you'll go and kill innocent fucking Filipino kids that you know, this kid sound like a great fucking kid, to be honest, man. Like, you know, he's going in culinary school. He's going to take over his business from his parents, you know, and it's terrible what happened to this lady. I feel so much for this lady. We are so scared about what is happening in this city, in our community. We don't feel any safety in this safety. In this safety, I don't know why probably in this city. While the Aldos are grateful arrests have been made, they hope the people responsible for their son's death will be punished. Let them pay for the crime that they've done, and not a short period that they will pay for it, right? So they know. They're like, let him actually pay for the fucking crime and not do like 2 fucking minutes in jail. Let's see here. No, I'm not gonna watch it just because it's just sad. But yeah, see, you know, these people, random meth addict, you know, and then this is like sucked back into that cycle. Curbing meth fuel crimes require treatment, but option limited, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, we need to throw more funding. And then this talks about this woman gripped by an addiction. A 24-year-old Winnipeg mother, single mother, saw an opportunity on local liquor store shelves last year to feed her growing urge for a fix, not for alcohol, but for meth. Over the course of about 6 months in 2018, the woman pilfered about $3,700 worth of liquor on 18 occasions and stole clothing from 3 retail outlets. She would turn around and sell the liquor on sites like Kijiji as a means of making some quick cash to support her growing methamphetamine addiction. And yeah, I know a guy that worked at the LC too, and he was telling me how much the crime was increasing over recently, and how like they're just, yeah, they're buying this shit, or they're stealing it, they're walking in, just grabbing it and walking out. And these people know the law, right? They know that the security guards and the staff can't stop them. They know that. They know that they can't like legally stop them, that they can just kind of walk out and all they can do is kind of like call the cops or whatever. So, you know, a lot of people are in a shitty situation and try to stop these people from, you know, thieving, but they get a slap on the wrist, like this woman is probably going to get. But no, she chose to go into prison instead of going to rehab. So she's like, oh, I could probably get drugs in prison. Over the course of about 6 months in 2018, the woman pilfered this much money. She would turn around and sell the liquor. Hers is an increasingly common example of meth-fueled property crime in Winnipeg. Between 2017 and 2018, Manitoba's Liquor Mart saw a 300% jump in thefts. So in just 1 year. And police have blamed meth for the spike in crime that's straining their resources. We could use more programs that are not just willing to help people with a methamphetamine addiction, but willing to help them while they're going through court decisions or conditions. Sorry. Coordinators with Winding River often work in concert with the Winnipeg Drug Treatment Court, a specialized court tailored for cases involving people with addictions. The Drug Treatment Court has operated on a harm reduction basis since it began 2006, admitting clients who plead guilty to some crimes where drugs played a role. It operates kind of like a bail program, but with more conditions. Rather than going to jail, clients attend court weekly and can receive incentives or admonishments from a presiding judge based on their performance. The program covers addiction therapy and drug testing cost. Participants have curfews and enroll in community services such as Narcotics Anonymous. So these people who do violent crimes on meth don't get to go to prison. Don't go to prison. You get to roam the fucking streets. And to a degree, the Drug Treatment Court has been successful in doing that. The recidivism rate for further drug or predatory crimes is about 10%. So, you know, it has some success for those graduated from the program. People convicted of drug addiction-related crimes who are housed in provincial correctional facilities fare much worse. Recidivism rate for the general incarcerated is 66%. So, yeah, you know, it's like the prisons are complete hellholes right now. Is too like the past couple of years, especially in Winnipeg, they're way more violent. There's another story I have here about PTSD rising among guards, and the rise in crime in prison and fucking with meth infueled people. In 2016 report, he and his co-founder found 94 out of 288 participants graduated. So that's another thing, right? So in the report, he said his co-authors found 94 of 288 participants graduated between 2006 and 15. So that's a measly fucking number. In essence, 1/3 of accepted participants. So, you know, So how much money did that cost? They were saying it was something like $400,000 they're giving. I can't remember or the prices somewhere else, but you know, from for only fixing that many people out of 300, there's way more drug addicts on the streets. You're going to need a lot more funding, a lot more money to even tackle anything. So, that's never the issue. That's never the problem. Never the solution. Just throw money at the issue. The need for treatment is there, says Acker Stream. In the years leading up to 2015, nearly 2/3 of drug treatment courts participants were primarily using cocaine. Crystal meth was the drug of choice of fewer than 1/5. We've seen that double, he said, but meth treatment presents unique challenges. People struggling with meth addiction often require longer, more intense programming to recover, and bouts of meth-induced psychosis can make users unpredictable and potentially violent at the outset. Safety of staff and the public is priority, he said, which is why the Winnipeg Drug Treatment Court generally excludes anyone who has committed a violent crime or used or threatened to use a weapon in a commission of a crime. So, generally. So many of the charges that we're seeing for individuals who are using meth involve either violence or brandishing weapons. So what's going on? A lot of people being charged with meth are they're attacking people. I can't obviously comment on why that is, whether it's just sort of the nature of the subculture and individuals who are involved in a subculture, or if it relates to how individuals are reacting to meth. The challenge, he said, is that while the need for treatment has increased, the guidelines that we currently have in place don't always allow treatment of individuals who are suffering from meth addiction because of the nature of the offenses. So yeah, they're saying that it receives $400,000 in funding a year for the 2015, 16, and 17. Okay, so for the past few years, I guess. But if all that money is only going to fix 98 people from 2006 to 2015, and it's probably more money than this because this is only counting this, it's probably 1 million, then you need to find a better fucking program because it's not going to fix enough people. The failure to increase the funding with inflation amounts to budget cuts. So, they're like, it's the funding. Right now, the maximum capacity for drug treatment court is 22 people per year, down from 30. So, nothing. It's nothing. Well, we want it to get up to 38 at least. That will make a huge difference. No, it won't. We could effectively double the program tomorrow if we had resources. Oh, then we could get 40 people in there. And we'll just leave the 10,000 other ones. Well, whatever. Let's not figure out a better solution. I want a job. With that funding, we could create 3 more government jobs to give this money to people. They often have to commit crimes to maintain their addiction. There's a real dark side to addiction. It takes a long time to change. The program takes about 300 men and 300 women annually and operates on some of the same principles as Winding River, blah, blah. So another, reintegration program takes 40 women. They'll be here for 3 or 4 weeks. They'll be hearing voices and seeing things. But then this woman, she decided, not to go to treatment. She's like, I'm just going to go to prison for 120 days and go see some treatment facility afterwards. The judge wants her to, but we'll see if she actually goes, right? And then, meth says meth behind rise in violent behavior in Winnipeg Remand Center. So, that's always also behind massive increase in the violence in Winnipeg, but I'm not going to go over that right now. I think let me check the chat here. It's wrong, and we must demand a return. Common sense and reason. I agree with you. Let me look up. They keep timing me out. People keep saying Indians are the most racist and hateful. Do you find this? I haven't, but maybe they treat white women differently. East Indians? I don't know. I don't find them the most racist, but maybe they're more racist when they have the numbers. Maybe they're more timid as a minority. I have no idea. I don't know. Meth is being used as a weapon. Notice, yeah, I agree. I agree that a lot of these drugs, methamphetamine and fentanyl, these are being used as bio weapons against us. Like these are literally being used against us. I know just recently, I think it was something came out saying that like Hezbollah was working with the cartels in Mexico, as well as somebody else in the Chinese, to bring fentanyl and all this stuff. And Hezbollah, one of the reasons they said they wanted to do it was to, make a bunch of Americans addicted to drugs, and also deplete the resources for the healthcare system, and to create like a problem with the healthcare costs, etc. Well, yeah, people should stop doing drugs. I agree with you, BM and stuff, but the issue comes in when people start cutting drugs with other drugs, right? And people think they're doing something maybe not so lethal, and it turns out to be cut with all this other shit. And if your drugs, some drugs are not hurting anybody. You should be for freedom. If you're not, why are you? I'm for freedom. If I'm for legalizing or decriminalizing all drugs, if you're not hurting anybody with it, then it should be legal. And in a lot of countries, and I think it was Portugal, or not Portugal, or I can't remember which country, recently legalized, pretty much decriminalized all drugs. It doesn't mean that you're going to be selling meth in the streets or on the corner. It just means that you're not going to be putting people in jail for being high on certain things, but they're still going to put people in jail for who are selling certain narcotics, etc. But I think I'm probably going to end the stream pretty soon, guys. I'm getting pretty hungry. But I hope you guys all had a good like half hour, a couple hours. I think I've done this. How long have I streamed for? Oh, more than 2 hours at least, since what? 2, 3. Fuck you, BM. You're good. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. You know that. It was not a comment that was deleted. I got an email from AJ relating to one of his vids. When I checked, his vid was gone, said pulled by him. Kel Fritz. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I deleted two videos just recently because they were just things saying like, hey, go to this, like letting people know that I was going to do a stream the other day. And then the other one, I started to do this stream, but then the Canadian Libertarian was doing his, so I just cut it short after 3 minutes. So I'm like, I'm not going to keep this stream on for 3 minutes or something like that. I'm like, I'm just going to delete it. Like, whatever. I don't want to keep it on there. Oh, thank you, Boingo Bear, man. Thank you for your donation, man. I really appreciate that. You've donated lots of times already, man. I really, really thank that, man. Thanks for the stream, bro. That's what Boingo Bear said. If I'm pronouncing that right. When I get allowance, I'll send you a super chat. All right, you better BM. Get your save your allowance. Don't buy it on. Don't waste it on big black booty porno magazines. And you should have enough left over to give me some super chats. Not kidding. But or wait, some super chats. You know what I'm talking about. But either way, guys, follow me on Discord. I'm gonna give the link here. Let me copy it. Copy. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, follow me on Discord. Follow me on Minds, Gab, IDW, BitChute. BitChute. Everybody go on BitChute. Oh shit. I the thing. But yeah, go on BitChute. I have an account there as well. Because, just in case something happens here, I have like something like, I think 200 or so followers on there. So that's, that's something. Although, you don't really get many views on there. Well, it depends. I don't know. Some stuff I get like 100 views. one video I got like 1,500 on BitChute, but the thing I just uploaded the other day has one view. So I don't know. Oh, it's hidden. Oh, that's why. No wonder. I had it hidden, but I don't know. Sometimes BitChute doesn't work too well. It seems to, whenever you upload a video, it will, like 80% of the time, upload your video to BitChute as well. But sometimes you have to go and check and then re-upload it on again. But like I said, guys, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate everybody coming along. We had a good audience here today, and have a good night, guys. Take it easy.